Good evening, Club Cult. Serena spam incoming. And welcome to the Stream the Dreams project. Happy Friday. Hop into the Disky Boo right quick. Oops. That's not what I wanted pinned. That is. Woo! Perfect. Perfect. Keep forgetting I left this book out at the end of stream. Then I look at it like 5 minutes after I end stream and I'm like, dang, forgot the book again. GG's. Lupin over here. I think we have a welcome. Yes, we do. Welcome. You guys hop into the Discord. Please do not forget to as if I even know where to go. Bob into entry pass and rules and green check them their rules so that I can reel you in offline. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. Is Patrick's pushing to Discord again? No. Why? Give me your answers. Why did it stop? Why? That's rude. I thought it just didn't earlier because I tried off of mobile. That's hilarious that it's vertical style. I need to try it like that and see like if it separates that for chat, because chat was on the bottom of the screen for it. I don't know. It was a weird one. But it worked. That was pretty hype. Chauncey enjoyed being a man of the world with his chicken nuggets with you all today. He was so happy. Well, he was cranky until he got his nuggets. And then he was happy. Until the nuggets were secured. Just switch that over every single time. I don't know, let's try to reconnect it. Try to make a new one. This alert already exists. Try to delete the old one. What did it say? You cannot remove the alert from your own channel. Why? It's my channel. Maybe it's just a hiccup. It'll sort itself out. Oh, while I have Botrix open though, there's still award stuff rolling, isn't there? I'm gonna pull that back. Ooh, Botrix got kind of a makeover in his smooth tabs now. Smoothie. Pop that one out of there. Didn't log on to do admin stuff tonight, but when in Rome, bop into games in a sec. There, No, those aren't murking everything up. Better. Marvelous. Lovely. Fantastic. Phenomenal. Bebop into some games. Let's see, today will probably be our last day with Doomsday. Tomorrow we have our first Harley cosplay of the year for Schmalentine's. I'm excited. And Sunday, I think we're gonna try and IRL about, and then just do some casual Z-milfing. What am I looking for? Oh, stupid camera thing. Flip this around while that opens. Swoop, swoop, swoop. Mayhaps I need some Earl for the chair. I had to bring in PB Blaster to fix something else. And I completely forgot about that I meant to use it for the chair too. Whoops. I don't need to, but it would be a bit more pleasant. In my humble opinion. Why did it make that sound? Ooh, and tomorrow I have a seminar that I'm going to, not hosting myself. There's a Cats in Action seminar. I'm curious if it'll be the same thing that I saw at CACC. Oh, it's taking away my ears. The backdrop. Lame. Fine. Okay. I concede. I'm excited. I wonder if it's going to be like the same info as I collected before, but it never really hurts to like hear things twice, honestly. I still lack the time. About the rider barracks. Oh, I can just go to that from there? I didn't know that. Cool. You have nothing to offer me, sir. Not a dang thing. The flower battle. Stranger danger. Oh, we got roses. I like digital flowers. Digital flowers are nice. I'm avidly against having real flowers in the house. That's very nice. Not that I would buy any that are toxic, but my marvelous idiots just like chewing on things. It's not worth the mess it's gonna make. And we have VIP stacked up, why don't we just use it? It was so effective. Nothing in there yet. A box. Got stuff and things. Stuff and things. Oh, it's too soon from last night still. The game said no. Not for you. Not yet. Not today, Satan, but tomorrow. Tomorrow, tomorrow. Woo, participation points. that for that. Insert game music. You get 2 drops? I thought there was only 1. I don't know what my hair is doing tonight. I had it in like a cute style and then I messed it all up. Oh. I don't know about that. Oh, it's just wild. Lion cosplay tonight. Harley cosplay tomorrow. The Doomsday Forager. It's cute. The flower battle. Oh, a sweet gift. Is there... There's the box. Got more roses and a romantic crystal. A type. It's a pink trial. Yeah, you increase that might. Some tomatoes. Oh, can we mod something? We got more materials. More materials. Not yet. Oh my goodness. The same feeling in my throat that I did at the end of stream yesterday. But it's the beginning! Can't be dealing with that nonsense yet. Where's my game board? Where did everyone go on the outskirts? Oh. What happens when we get to the end of the path? Does that dignify that that's... The buck stops there? Oh wait, was he like exiled? Like, is he in trouble? And he's like making his way into my fort? I guess I never put that together. I guess so. I want to get there tonight and see what changes. Welcome to Mad Topher. Fancy dolled up, meaning she put on not a t-shirt. She put on real clothes that generally cannot be mistaken for pajamas tonight. Happy Friday. I will cheers to that. The disappearing coffee mug. I aim to please. Not gonna lie, it did feel kind of good tonight, resuming regularly scheduled programming to like 100% completion points. It's satisfying. I like my routine. I'm a well-trained dog. Big guy. Ah! Speaking of well-trained dog, or I guess not well-trained dog, my dad has found a new mortal enemy in life. His neighbors have 2 Dobermans that aren't puppies anymore. And my dad is afraid of dogs, so he might be exaggerating. But I'm also taking him seriously, because it's very rare for a man to ask for help you know? That allows me to believe that it's as dramatic as he's saying it is. Die. Die. Die! Does anyone have any input? And this is such a difficult topic, because, like, I don't believe in being unkind to animals, but if you're being attacked, like, you can't just, like, love a bear out of attacking you. No, stranger danger. I told him that if he feels unsafe, he should carry pepper spray or an air horn. But if anyone has a better idea... Sorry, person. Darn it. Imagine the nonchalance of death when you just say darn it. Boy, as I was watching. Can't really think of anything that would be a better idea for him. He thought of bringing a whistle with, which, I don't know. I feel like that would call the dog more than anything. I feel bad. I guess the issue is the dogs are big enough and they're rushing the fence line when he's running past and, like, being quite menacing versus just curious. But it's a 6-foot fence all the way around, except for in front of the Dobie's house, where it's a 3-foot fence, which dogs can clear that like nothing. A dog can clear a 6-foot fence if they wanted to. Diesel could probably clear a fucking 12-foot fence if he really, really wanted to. I feel bad. I don't know what to tell him. But he actually raised a really good point. Like, in terms of... Because he asked me what would I do if... Like, do I have any plans or, like, contingencies of, like, what if that happens while I'm walking my dogs? And it made me realize I really don't have a plan for that. On one hand, I would just assume... Hair's fluffy tonight. It was done, and then I brushed it out, and now it's just... Foof. Well, thank you. It was done, and then it changed its mind. Top commando. Like, in my head, if a dog went to attack my dog, I would just tell my dog to sit and stay, because my dogs are mostly-ish trained. Generally. Pretty well trained. And then try to, like, stop the other dog by looping my leash around and then doing almost like a catch pull action, like holding them at arm's length. Obviously that wouldn't work, like, for a cane corso, but for the average lab-sized dog, that would be fine. I feel like I've always relied on, like, if a dog were to attack me, then my dog would probably step in and protect me, which, I mean, that wouldn't be ideal either, but it really made me think. I never really thought about that. There's only one dog in the neighborhood that concerns me that I choose not to walk by, but my dad can't really go for a run without walking around the street corner that it makes his street to the next street. Otherwise, it's just the last little dead end portion. There's only one dog I won't walk by in my neighborhood. That's because it's a really big-ass Rottweiler that looks like they're about to jump the fence. I love Rottweilers. I love big dogs, obviously. I have no breed discrimination. Just for context. They have, like, a 3-foot chain-link fence, and the dog halfway climbs over it whenever I've walked by it. And even when I'm driving sometimes, and it just looks like it's waiting for the right opportunity to jump out, whether that's menacingly or... just cute, adorable puppy, hee-hee, I don't know. I don't want to find out. But I just avoid that house, and can't really do that in my dad's circumstance. I looked up online and I've just been racking my brain of, like, what else I can tell him. I told him to, like, treat it like a bear situation. Like, just make yourself big. Holler. But I also told him, even though I don't think a whistle will work, if he feels more confident carrying it, then by all means do it. Confidence is key. I mean, animals can smell fear, which is to say they don't smell fear, but depending on what the animal is in a certain proximity to you, they can sense the change in your heart rate. And that's where they, like, get the smelling fear thing from. Like, horses, for example, can smell it from really far away. Or not smell it, but sense the change in heart rate from really far away. That's why horses are so easily spooked. And tend to be a good judge of the peoples. I don't know about other animals, but I know they can do it from afar. I learned that, like, within the last 6 months. I think that's so interesting. Like, I always thought smelling fear had something to do with, like, your pheromones, or you're sweating more in the moment, or you're flush, so your body is emitting something. I failed. I wasn't paying attention. Or it was just bad. No, don't fail. Don't fail. What did I do there? No, but no, it's instead the proximity to heart rate. Ability to sense. Oh, we're not gonna get that. I didn't change my squad either. I meant to see if there's someone better to fill in for, I think, my level 19 girly. I don't know about this one. Oh, they're rushing from the side again. That's my kryptonite. I'm gonna lose. And then there are 3. There's about to be 2. This is not happening. And then there's 1. And in a moment he will be done. He's not gonna take him on all the way by himself. Although I guess I could, like, attempt to dodge his whacks, you know? That might be a good choice. I'm dead. I'm just doing, like, a little shuffle dance at this point. Failure! Failure! Okay, because she's level 18, but she's 32. Is there anyone higher than 32? 32 and 29. What is everyone? Bring me my strong peoples. There's 2 32s, wasn't there? No, he was 29. Was the other person 29? 30. Okay. Refill! Mano y mano. I don't think it was that evenly matched. That's not happening. These are just cock teases. Not getting any of those. Not happening. No, can't leave them behind. They're gonna come and flank me from the butt. No. No. Can't have that. Oh, I think we got the good stuff though. Okay, excuse me, everyone else here. I want to live! I might need to go on missions and level everyone up. That's possible too. You can do it! You can do it! We're not gonna do it. It's going even worse. I think we had him down to, like, at least level 2 damage. X2 damage. Last time, not this time. Failure. It's so nice to see. Let's do a little Daft Punk. Harder, faster, better, stronger. There's nothing for you to rank up with. Why are you blinky? I can't upgrade it yet. We're upgrading other things. What do you want from me, game? I am not a perfect, impervious being. I'm not the omnipotent, all-knowing. Fuck it, we ball. Oh, she gets quite the levelage. I tried the Kick mobile app earlier, getting Chauncey chicken nuggies. And I don't think it streams horizontally. I'm guessing from how the chat layout was that it's meant to be vertical. Because there's not an option to make it horizontal. I looked at it again before stream tonight. I feel like she's a blue ba-da-ba-dee girly. I'm excited to try it again though. I feel like it works almost as good as Kick's mobile app. Or Twitch's mobile app. But it blurps out a little bit more, like the quality is just a little bit less. I was not in an area that it should have blurped out, and it blurped out a few times. Didn't I just level you all the way up? Yes. Modern day dark magician girl. The greatest show woman. Does this poor guy get any leveling ever? Or just like, no? Okay. Saving that talent point just for that one. Just kidding. Oh, crab apples. I need to somehow get headquarters upgraded. I mean, I think that HP will just compensate for the battle manuals when we get them, or the EXP. I would imagine. You know what happens when you assume. I saw this window pop up in my peripherals for my stream preview, and I thought my computer was throwing me an error code, and my heart dropped in my butt. That something was coming up and saying, "This is crashed," or whatever. Oh, I forgot that they need their things on. Wait, is there a max level thing for everyone else? No? Does that mean when we claim her, she could be maxed out? It was just a character preview. I don't know what that would be. Stranger danger! Stranger danger. A double-edged sword. Okay, the stupid headquarters. Need the time for it. I don't know how to get the time for it. What's going right now? That one. do that one. I guess we have some gems that we can fuck around and find out with. Rider barracks have to go up one more. Little gems. Okay. If you say so. The barricades. Has to be up to level 11, I think. Tomatoes. Not the hospital. Headquarters. Barricades still has to go up more. Good lord. Crazy person. It's crackhead behavior. They're just using everything just for fun. Alright, we're gonna let that run for 2 minutes. See what the fuck around and find out is over here. A box! Chauncey, what are you tip-tapping around for? You're a silly goober. Holy. My foot is asleep. Asleep! Evenly matched. Then it should be doable. Right? You think? Alright, let's move out, troops. It's a lost cause. It was a valiant effort. It was an attempt. It was a theory. It was a strategy. No, it wasn't. Why did I dodge out of that? I'm not doing myself any favors. Like, at all. Oh, we're fucking screwed. This will not be a positive experience. You dodge the damage, Serena. It goes for the wind-up. And the pitch. Come on now. Golly gee willikers, Batman. Oh, just kill me. Charlie doesn't get any more things. What are you talking about? I think the headquarters needs to be updated before I can go any further. My squad is the strongest squad that I can squadrant. I did take a peek at that, but I beefed it up as big as it'll get, and it's still not enough. I'm just a girl. Just not strong enough for that. Oh yeah, I forgot we can loot up through here. Search. Oh my god, I'm crying again because you're also beautiful. Again. Again. My sinuses have been having a time of it. We went from like teens to like 20 degrees to freezing to 40s to 50s. Like, each day has been an increase in 10 degrees, which I love. When I was out with Chauncey today, it was 52 degrees. At least the car said it was. And it was beautiful. But my sinuses are so fucking confused. It's the squattiest squad of any squad that ever squatted. Put that in your juice box and suck it. Just crying because you're all so beautiful. I mean, to be fair, I do like cry at everything and when things are beautiful, etc. But ow, my sinuses. Ah! I let my foot get so asleep that I literally cannot feel anything right now. That's an experience. Tastes like lemon. I like the taste of lemon. What is that referring to, though? My grandma got me hooked on lemons when I was a kid. Like, she would cut them up for her martinis, but she would also just eat them, like, straight up, even if they haven't touched alcohol. Or, like, just put it in your mouth and suck on it. I love sucking on lemons. I shouldn't say I love it. It's not like I do it all the time, but every once in a while, I have a taste for it. Which I don't really understand. Why is the juice box lemon juice? Why can't it be lemonade? Make it for the people, not just for me. My nephew was like raised on lemonade. He never liked drinking water, and the solution was always really diluted lemonade. Like, I didn't even like the lemonade my aunt made. It was so just barely sweet lemon flavored, just strange. But he loved it. Kept the kid hydrated. Those are my two favorite comebacks that my niece used to say. Put that in your juice box and suck it, and why you all up in my grill making hot dogs? That one I heard her say firsthand to a snarky little neighbor boy, like outside with the windows open, and I was very proud in that moment. I'm not gonna lie. Champion for the people. Cat and dog in every house, and lemonade in every juice box. Lemonade is like not the best, bad, worst choice though. Like, water is always best, of course, but lemonade is good. I don't know if I can really like enforce the whole sucking on lemons policy. I don't think most of the world would like that. It's just my presidentialism, my presidentiary with a twist. It's perfect. It's perfect. Oh, I think we're going to be able to level at least a couple of them pretty well. He looks like the Joker. I like how they named him Johnny Carey, but my brain reads that as John Kerry, and it's even funnier that way. The executive chair persona grows. The purr, there we go. Persona, thank you very much. That's why my chair creaks. It shows the people that I'm humble and not above them. I'm on their level. Gives me a sense of familiarity. You know, like it's giving like a sense of humanity, connection to the average working Joe. It's essentially the same thing as like visiting an orphanage or something. Opportunity missed. I know. 50 lashes with a wet noodle. For shame. I don't know how you racked all these up, but I'm claiming them. I'm claiming these bitches. Got 2 bitches in 1 spin. Good search. GG's. Good search. Okay, over it. And time to down to our next research. Free search, just for research. And tomatoes? No, stranger danger. Stranger danger. So who is she based off of? I feel like she's just a fun character. Of all the choices for dialogue, they could have... Oh, I mean, like, that makes sense. You'll pay the price for underestimating me. But... This is nauseating stench. Well, I mean, Voya pooped. Don't embarrass the boy. Sometimes I can't help but recall that tasty ice cream stick I once had. Maybe it's just my vicinity to where I've been in the world this evening, but that sounds a little giggity sus. Little giggity sus, I do say so myself. Give this bitch some talent. I think this is the only toggle that doesn't have like a max level whatchamawatcher. Like fill it all in at once. So it's very organized. Rank. I have a luck status. It's interesting. How do you want me to upgrade this? You stinky butt. Okay, can we do magic with this one now? We have the time. We have the resources. Let's fucking go. Upgrade headquarters. Do we have enough to speed that up from like the 1 day? That's like 24 hours. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't do that. Fucking we ball. Oh, it's for over 1 day. That's like 2 days. What the French toast? That's brutal. What is this gonna divvy it out as? Insufficient resources. Suck my butt. Takes it down to 14 hours. Here, let's see if we can loot up some time from the radar station. The radar station. Oh, what did I do? Pick up. Pick up. Pick up. I'm gonna get supplies, not time, I don't think. I don't know. Race ya. I'm winning. 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 Having fun with that. A box! The Titan approaches. Does he, though? Is he really? Wait, what is everyone's 10 of everything? Oh, I guess it didn't go up through. Everyone's each of each. I got way too hyped over Level upage. I did her doggo and she has a bumper on her shirt. I like her. I don't know what this like other half of the outfit going on is, but I'm here for this. If I didn't just change my hair color, this would be a fun cosplay. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Also, I have no idea how to wear hair clips like that, and I feel like this would be like my one shot, one opportunity. No stars for you. I guess none of that for you either. Got the skills to pay the bills. It's Jiggles. No, that's, shit, I don't know her face. Her. That's her sister. Ringmaster Jiglet. That makes her sound like a juggalo, though. Her name is now Jiggles. Can we rename the characters? Oh, I don't think so. Doom Lady. Dooms you with her jigglies. I would accept my fate if I were subjected to such. Would not be concerned. Would die happy. No level upage for you. Nothing for you. Well, lordy lordy, look who's not 40. The drama. That's time. Approximately-ish. I have to go pick up meds for Ringo tomorrow, and I have to reschedule his training. I called and left a message to the trainer today. I feel so bad. I feel like such a flake. And like, god damn it, I just want to go to training with my dog. Like, I felt pretty neutral, but slightly excited about it at first. And now I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm mad that I can't do it. You always want what you can't have, right? So we're gonna have to put off training till like mid-April. So if we need to do a different course of meds, we can do that too. If this one doesn't clear it up. And it'll be post-convention time, so I'll be awake then instead of hyper-focused on the chaos. Feels so bad. He still has the Giardia. How he has it, and knock on wood, no one else in the house does. I do not understand. I pride myself on that level of cleanliness. But I feel like I've had to be neurotic for months now. Like making sure everything is healthy and safe. He does. He still has it. He still has it. So we're going to try one more round of Metronidazole and Panicure. And if that doesn't work, then I don't know. He needs another course of medication. It can't be the only course of medication to treat Giardia. I feel so bad. I do think I figured out how he's contracting it repeatedly, though. And I think I can stop it now. Assuming this is how he's contracting it, because he hasn't left the yard. We've barely gone for walks, because it's been winter. But he's dug this immense hole. Like, it's like at least a foot deep and a couple feet wide. And I was just letting him get his jollies out. But it's right next to where the sump pit ejects. And especially when it's been colder out, like the ground is frozen, so it's not going to soak into the ground that well. It's just going to kind of sit on top, and it's a little smushy over there. And because he's been digging right next to it, I think that gray water has given him Giardia. I don't know what else it would be to think of. So I'm keeping him far away from there, and we're not allowed to dig in that anymore. But I was thinking about that the last time I tested him. I don't know, end of December, beginning of January, something like that. And he spent quite a bit of time over there. So we're gonna nip that in the bud. Not allowed anymore. If it stays warmer for a few days too, I might try to put up 2 different dog runs in the backyard so there's containment zones. Because I don't want anyone else getting sick. Like, I've prevented it this far, but how far can you really prevent things? Really? Stranger danger. The universe can only supplement you so far. But I think that's how he was doing it. I don't know. I can't think of any other logical reason of how he would keep contracting it and no one else would. So I'm going to pick up his meds in the morning and then sanitize the fork out of everything. Again, for the millionth time. I've got so many roses. Jeez. Does anyone need a cool dozen and baker's dozen of roses? Got 25 of these bitches. Welcome, Cygenix. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, BBs. Happy Fridays. Friday the 13th, spooky. I always have good days on Friday the 13th. I don't know. Knock on wood, but I'm not jinxing it. What am I missing that's new? That one. There should be 2 more. Where is you? That's confusing. I do find it like kind of amusingly uncomfortable, but also funny, but like cursed. That Friday the 13th this year is right before Valentine's Day. I feel like that's just insult to injury. Did they need to do that? No. Did it happen that way? Yes. These roses will come in useful tomorrow. Hallmark Day roses. True. Because I don't like real flowers. I'm glad to have digital flowers. Real flowers, even if they're pet safe, always end up getting chewed up and thrown up in my house. And I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I like my fake digital flowers. I feel like I'm very difficult to shop for in terms of like average lovey-dovey holiday gifts. I don't like chocolate. I would prefer flowers not be in my house. What else do you do? Just give me money, I guess. I'm kidding. 14 hours. Oh my god, fuck me. That's brutal. Ah! Yes, a new vacuum. But I'm picky and I want one that would be like wired into the house. And that's not like a cheap $20 or even like an extravagant like $100 or it's probably like more than a $500 gift even. I don't know. Let's learn. I don't even know how expensive those are. Oh, Google is so cute. Just so my future husband can start saving and getting prepared now. Installing a built-in central vacuum system typically... Oh, it's cheaper than I thought. $1,200 and $4,200. I mean, $4,200 is kind of crazy, but $1,200 is decent. Roughly $2,500 isn't bad. I mean, the French is... My house is about 1,300 square feet, but then there's plus the basement. So double, because the basement doesn't get counted in your square footage. And then the French is a partially finished basement and about 1,500 square feet. There's a couple hundred more than here. So that wouldn't be bad. Now I want to do it. So can you write it off on taxes? Probably not, because it wouldn't be energy efficient. A long-term home improvement. That would be such a selling point, honestly, if I was still looking around at houses. That's a very obscure thing to be like, I need this, though. Chauncey got chicken nuggies. Friday the 13th can't be that bad. That's very true. He had a good day. Am I the blue path? I don't feel like I'm the blue path. I don't think that's right. That's not me. Where's my greenhouse? I guess. I thought we did that. Did I tell it no? Heart-shaped antacids get you going? What? Oh, the heart candies. They are so chalky and nasty. I hate those. I don't like them. Why they wouldn't just make them in like the flavor of Smarties instead of that chalky nasty? But they're from a long time ago too. I don't know. There's some older candy that's well made, but most older candy is not very good. The flying saucers used to be one of my favorites. Go protect the survivors. We're not getting any time rewards though. I think Roomba went into bankruptcy. Really? Because there's so many like knockoffs on the market. I have knockoff Roombas. %50 because I'm lazy. And 50% because they're less loud than regular vacuums and the zoo tolerates them a bit more. They just get mildly annoyed versus terrified. Not funny, but you know. The downside of an integrated vacuum system is if you're near the vacuum unit itself and it starts up, you'll shit your pants. Because there's zero warning. Oh yeah, maybe it would be too loud for the zoo. I keep forgetting to ask when I see someone vacuuming at my vet's office what vacuum they use there. My vacuum is like 10 years old and it still works good, but going from hardwood to carpet, I'm not going to be primarily using my shop vac, which I love. I'm using my carpet vacuum and it's probably going to wear out pretty fast. Replaced the belt on it once and it's old. It's just old. Oh, where was I taking myself that I just yeeted myself out of? Good Christ. Happy trigger hands. Redo. Major advantage. Okay, get him. Get him. Get him. It doesn't actually vacuum your floors. It just provides a vacuum line throughout the house. Yeah, a built-in house vacuum is just a vacuum that you don't move the cord like from outlet to outlet. It just has enough cord for the whole entire house. Sometimes they have like tubes that'll go all the way back to whatever the main vacuum holder stuff collector spot is. I'm really good with the words tonight. Wow, that's impressive. Other times it moves like a regular vacuum where it has like the filter and collector. There we go, the filter and collector with you. And then the power cord just goes all the way back to one central point. I really just hate moving the cord while I'm vacuuming. I find that so annoying. When I vacuum, I want to just vacuum everything all at once. The shop vac I have has like a 100-foot extension cord on it because I refuse to be interrupted in my vacuuming. to go change where the plug is. I refuse. It's a waste of time and it's an annoyance. I will not subject myself to this. There are junctions you plug a tube into and then you vacuum like normal. Yeah, that's the tubey to collection one. I would want one just with the insanely long cord. Because, like, one house vacuuming is probably going to fill up whatever the collector is. I don't mind taking that with me and then dumping it out when I'm done. But I want the big, fancy, thick, powerful, corded vacuum. Happy Valentine's Day, honey. Here's your lemon snaps. Crumble them on the ground. Here's your vacuum. Put it to good use. Oh, I'm so jealous of your grandma's hygienics. Grandma had one in her house and the vacuum was in the basement where the pool table was, which is where you spend most of your time. That's awesome. Playing with the pool table or hiding underneath it and making it a fortress. I could see it going either way depending on age. I spent many of my formative years not under a pool table, but under my grandma's kitchen table. I don't know why, but that was like the spot to be. That was such a cool spot. It was good times. Many pants were shat over the years. Oh, because the central point was where it was. And grandma would just decide to vacuum out of the blue and scare you. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't want to be giving baths. Maybe I need to reconsider that for the zoo. I mean, I'm sure for enough money they could make a quieter version of it to whatever extent. Want to vacuum with a silencer. That's what we need here in life. Where are we getting stuff that I'm missing it? Stuff and things. Stuff and things. Pool tables have many years. More years spent playing pool, however. I'm jelly. I'm jelly. I would like to get to be proficient in pool. It's a precision art, though. It's fun. But it's also like chess, where like no one wants to teach you because they have their own elitist way of doing it for the most part. I asked my dad again the other day, well, a couple weeks ago now, I guess, if he would teach me chess. I was like, no. Like, why? I'm mature now. I won't cry when I lose anymore, Dad. Come on. I've never beat my dad in checkers. Checkers was our jam. I would just like to learn how to play chess. But I will just end up teaching myself one day because I'm fucking stubborn. But checkers was our jam. But I've never beat my dad in checkers. He has this amazing... I feel like it's a mental math thing. Like, people who can do mental math are very good at chess and checkers. And if you can't do that, you could probably only just play for fun and you will never actually be good at it. Or a force to reckon with. Or any kind of... more than just mildly proficient, because you have to be able to think XYZ amount of steps ahead, and that's what mental math is being able to think yourself through many steps at a time, and I cannot do that. I'm a live in the moment girly. I'm like a dog. I live for the moment. I live for the day. I have no cares about what's happening next. Cross my fingers and put them behind my back, but you know. To know the grand strategies of chess or just how the pieces move? Just how the pieces move, more or less. I don't think I'll ever be able to jump on the bandwagon of any grand strategy, but I don't know, I just like to know. It's better to know a little about a lot than a lot about a little. I would definitely agree with that. Easy to learn, but difficult to master. It would mostly just be words. Memorizing what the pieces are, where they go, and how they move. And that would be a good starting point, I think, to just, like, play random online matches and lose a bunch, and then learn from there. I think we all know I'm very comfortable at learning by losing. Cough, Doom, cough, Wolfenstein. One more thing on here? My goodness. No. Yes? A little gift bag purse. That teddy bear is really cute. It looks like Ted, but like yassified. I mean, a teddy bear is a teddy bear is a teddy bear, but still. Can I speed this anymore yet? Those are not for me. 5 minute, 1 minute, 15 minute. What? We have such little baby speed ups. Well, pussy ass bitch speed ups. I'm not accomplishing anything with this. Don't have 150 gems. Don't have. We have these. Why can't I use these? Don't relocate me randomly. I didn't even look at what any of these are. Sure, loot me up. So beautiful. This one always reminds me of Sailor Moon. I thought that was a paddle. Oh, we could get upgradey things. Some duct tape. You guys would murk me in chess, I'm sure. But it would be fun. I just like to learn. I don't know if I'd actually enjoy it, but you don't know until you try. Pants, shoes, knife, gun. Let's go for some knivery. Oh, we have not enough pots. Rude. Cocktease. Or can we? You liar, liar, pants on fire? No, you don't have enough of the other one. You goober. Goofy goober. Not yet. Some more tomatoes. And just wishful thinking. That's so rude. Why 13 hours? stinky butt. Let's see what happens. Refined pants is such an odd phrase. What are you talking about? I spend all my weary days at the pants refinery. It's a fine time. Get him! You're not gonna get him. You get that window. That's better. Oh, I didn't even check if our squad was the most strong that it could be. Oops. Oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. Right, no flanking action, please. Don't encroach upon me, sir. I don't think we'll be able to get to the end of the board game map. Ah, don't freeze! Portion of whatever it is. Without upgrading the headquarters, though. It's only 30 more hours. We survived. Yay! No, stranger danger. Infected. Curb stopping to waypoints can be a legit strategy, though. He looks like a young Charlie Sheen. Hello? Is there anyone out there? Ah, how do I make this go away? I don't want X. No. No! Oh my god. I don't. Stranger danger. We need to click the chat bot. I just wanted this. This! Corpse happening to me. But you're not wrong. Bloomery for the bloomers. Welcome to the Bloomery for the bloomers. I feel like that's a missed opportunity store title. Don't tell me what to do. 31, 32. I don't think there's anyone better in my squad. Not the most evenly dispersed. We don't have any blue people, but I don't have any really highly leveled blue people. Grandma and Blondie. That's really it. You can't place any more objects. You don't know me. You don't know what I can do. You can't tell me what to do. No one can. Only the zoo can. Big army! Where was this big army when we needed it in the last battle? Come on now. No stragglers. No stragglers. Stuffing things, stuffing things. Did you get any speed ups? I don't understand why these are in my bag and not. Are they for different? Oh, it's for specifically research or training or healing. Okay. Should have a V8. I understand now. I am humbled. Je comprends-vous. Nope. We can do a few more big searchies. Get some more time blocks maybe. Or not. Again. Again. Time is pretty rare in this game. Okay. Search free again in a few. I've been liking this game. I don't think I love it. But it's a nice little place filler of just head empty, no thoughts, click buttons. And sometimes we need that in life. Stop telling me what to do with things when we don't have enough of the things for the things. Dirty, filthy liar. Lies and slander and lies. No, I don't want to discard my resources. Those are my resources. Don't touch my resources. My red stapler. Don't touch my red stapler. Grammy's got skills. I'm trying to upgrade the headquarters. God damn it. Doge. Pupperdoe. Pupperdoe. That's never what I think it's gonna be. Stop doing that. We got this. We got this. It's very close to home. Big fan of the head empty click buttons mode at the end of the night. Sometimes we need that in life. It's therapeutic. I mean, generally there's like the initial cost of the game, but otherwise it's pretty long-term free therapy, which is nice. I'm so bummed, but I'm so happy, kind of. I thought my new therapist would be 100% covered by my insurance. I don't know why. I just hoped, because why not? And I didn't get billed for a few weeks. And I got billed for her the other day. Boo. But it's not that much, thankfully. I guess her like regular fee is like $350, which is insane. But I'm only paying $50 for each session, which is not bad. My insurance is so fucking expensive, but so good, thankfully. And I need it to be good for reasons, as we know. But I looked up what I've left of my deductible, and I only have, after this 100 is paid out from the first 2 sessions that I've been billed for, I have $597 to go before I've met my deductible, and then everything's free. Which, that's just a couple months of prescriptions and a couple more therapies and like one more doctor's office visit, and then it will all be... And the labs I did yesterday, that'll take a portion out of it too. I'll have to look at it in a few days. So my deductible will be nuked shortly. I don't love this whole trend of like procedures right in the beginning of the year, but God, do I love the dent that it makes in my yearly deductible, and that everything's pretty stress-free for the rest of the year. Surprise! Yeah, I was surprised. Because I kept checking it like on a weekly basis of, has it been submitted? Do I have a cost that I owe, etc.? And it was showing no. It was submitted. It was good. And then I got an email yesterday of, we'll be charging your card on the 12th for $95.30 something. And it's like, Come on now. It's time to really bring up the bill, get a full body scan, and chase down anything and everything they find. I would if they would let you. Unfortunately, I cannot be in charge of my care protocol. There have been many times that I mentioned different things to different doctors, and it's like, can we explore this as a possibility? And maybe like 3 out of, at least 20 that I've come across are just ignored. It's very frustrating. There's a couple of my levels that are always off on blood work, and it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but I wish it would be questioned a bit more. I have a cyst consistently growing on my kidney, on my left kidney, which, I mean, like, is supposedly nothing to worry about, but it's something that's there that's obviously not supposed to be there, and I would like to know why it's there. But anytime I ask about these things, it's just not a big deal. It's just not. No, with the next couple months of prescriptions and visits and more labs I have to do and everything else, no stranger danger. At least by April at the latest, my deductible will be met. And I am relieved for that. We'll say though, it sure is. Oh, slight disadvantage. Uh-oh. Well, fuck around and find out. It's very daunting to tackle that much financially at the start of the year, but at the same time, I'd rather trade a couple months of difficulty for the rest of the year being pretty worry-free. We're gonna get him? We might. Maybe. Maybe. Just barely, if so. It's the luck of the draw. I think I actually have an order for another MRI that I need to do before my next GI appointment in April. I need to schedule that. I keep forgetting about it because it was ordered last December to do like a month before my next appointment. And I keep forgetting the order is in there. I need to schedule it. I'm actually very upset though, because now I understand things. And my first year of being sick, I was at a specialty clinic, I guess. It's wherever I was referred to from my primary care physician. And I paid so much more out of pocket with it not being a hospital setting. I would love all of those dollars back, please. Anytime I would have any sort of procedure, I would have to pay anywhere between, I think the most was $1,600 out of pocket at the time of, with like a $3,200 balance in full. Even though much was covered by insurance, but not the anesthesiologist primarily, which is agitating. But doing everything in a hospital setting now, one, I feel much more safe and well, and two, I don't seem to be being charged as obnoxiously, insanely through the roof for everything. And I'm quite upset about that. I wish I would have known what I was being referred to. That's the same office that misdiagnosed me as well. Oh, you have Crohn's disease. Well, no, I don't. Well, what was that? Oh, I can make a retreat. Okay. I didn't know I could do that. That's okay, though. You live and you learn. Most anesthesiologists outside of hospital practice are private, too, to where your insurance won't be covered by them and they're not necessarily affiliated with the private clinic or specialty clinic. they're just contracted in to be a part of the process, so you have to pay in full for them, and none of your insurance will cover it. Versus in a hospital setting, the anesthesiologist is included. Buy one, get one free. Buy one surgery, get the anesthesiologist free. It's a BOGO offer. Would have been a very lucrative field to get into if I was comfortable with nuking people. Victory, victory. Oh, so many roses. A flower battle. That sounds so big and strong and tough. 42 minutes of speed ups. Yes. Wipe my resources. Take them all. Take them all. One more in here. Oh no, we completed them all. Back to the game board. And it's time to bop in with Peebs in a few. Being an anesthesiologist is low-key terrifying. Because they have to keep you in like this like almost dead but still awake state. That's so scary. I don't like to think about it. I don't like to know things or think about if I know things. Oh god, like, bless my buddy's heart. I stated that I didn't want to know. I just prefer not to know things because then I don't get freaked out by them. I stated that I didn't want to know how a catheter works and what it does because I mostly understand what it does and I don't need to know the fucking details because it just freaks me out. Oh god, this is a lot to take in right now. And then I guess he just assumed that I changed my mind because post-procedure, there's this whole big hubbub at the hospital when I was supposed to leave. I was there for like an extra 6 hours because after you have a catheter placed, they want you to pee before you go home to make sure everything's fine, blah, 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 blah. Well, I can't pee when I'm anxious and angry, and I woke up from surgery both anxious and angry. We slightly survived this? Maybe. Maybe. Maybe just barely. So I could not pee because I was angry. And I also could not stop throwing up when I woke up from surgery, which was super gross and extremely not fun. And because I just kept drinking and then upchucking everything that I was drinking, nothing was making its way to my bladder. So finally at shift change, I got a new nurse and was like, hey, I really need to take care of my dogs. Can I please get home? Because I thought we would be leaving by about 4 p.m. And by that time it was close to 8 p.m. Which was dumber than all fucking shit. And then on the ride home, he starts telling me how a catheter works. And I heard too much. Don't tell me this. Just because I didn't want to know earlier doesn't mean I want to know now. I just don't want to know. Then I can't worry about it. Like, I understand their mentality. They don't want you to leave when there could be a potential complication. But, like, you are the potential complication at this point. Okay? What do we even do at this point? This is like a 0 endgame. This is not lucrative. Can't the zombies join my team? Who's having a cough? I'm not gonna beat this guy. Was that Mr. Gunther? Can I hide under a building and just stay safe? Oh my, why is that going that way? What? Why can I cross a... What? I don't understand. That was awkward. That was very awkward. Oh. So close. No survival for you. No survival for you. What if the boss kills the little zombies first? Is he attacking them? Like, is he hitting them when he's hitting me? I didn't even notice that. I wonder if I can use that to my advantage. That's a very good point. I didn't know that might be happening. Let's see. Give it a whirl. And then go see Miss PB's world. La 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 la. La 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 la. PB's world. I'm so proud of her. She spent her first night solo dolo as a free bird last night. Brave little baby. I thrashed around the boss. Looked like they were killing your minions. They were! They were ruining my day. That would be an excellent strategy if that does work. I now want to see. They all come swarming outie. What if I just swing back and forth? Swing life away over here. I mean, it eliminated, like, most of my army, but yes. That did kind of work. So, if we can stay alive at this point, which seems probable. Fuck yeah! Excellent strategy. All I had to do is run like a little bitch. When in doubt, run like a little bitch. Swim away! Swim away! Round of applause. It's victory brought to you by the Mad Topher. Stranger danger. Rust. That was like a LinkedIn picture. Where's... Oh, I thought they all queue into there. I guess just like the ones when you're not looking do. Was that someone's LinkedIn photo? I wish I didn't stranger danger out of that so fast. That was funny. You're a survivor. I am merely the button presser. Club Cult, you are the brains of this operation. Oh my god, it's still upgrading. You know what? Suck my butt. Jiggle's got a new skill. I mean, I guess we can use those. Like pressing buttons. No more talent points for you. She's talented in other realms. Can't do shit with you. Can't do shit with you. Eat your puppy. Burp, 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 burp. Oh, there's no. Why are you giving me a upgrade thing? Able to be upgraded yet. Crying out loud. Oh wait, who's blue and like right there? Grandma? It'd be good to have some defense going on here. Much grandma levels. I don't know if that'll get her up to 30 though. Banana man, you are sufficient. Your mom's insufficient. Probably be good to have some defense on the field. Basically, free stun. You're not wrong. Welcome, Midnight Dynamite. I hope the night is being kind to you. I hope the night is being kind to everybody. No, you have none. Sleazy Rider over here. We haven't done a red in a while. I have zero strategy, just pretty colors. You don't have those. You don't. So if we incorporate Grandma, let's see. I'll take him out of the loop. And it's evenly matched, but Grandma will heal us. I am curious. I will be right back. I got to go tinky. I got to pee. Mostly is after a long day. Hey, made it through. Proud of you. Free stun. You're not wrong. Oi. I was curled up in a ball. That felt interesting. mommy. Be right in, sis. Hi. I love you. I'm right there. I'm right there. It's fucking cold out there in the real world. Good lord. I don't know what hoodie I want. We have many choices. The famous words of Forrest Gump. Got to pee. Famous words of Serena TV forever, the headless streamer. It's cold out there in the real world. The reality check froze me. Chauncey had an incidental. At least I'm assuming it's him. It was too big of an incidental to be Pippi. Unless Pippi is really striving for greatness today. We're gonna see how this goes with Grandma, and then we'll mop in with Miss PB. Little Peebers. Independent, damn it. The independent queen. I'm so proud of her. She's doing so good. Oot and a boot. In her room. Oh, I'm so fucked. Maybe? I don't know. No, we can survive. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. It's possible. We can do it. Defeated. Victory. Stranger danger. I have a lot of tomatoes. Makes me so sad when I get my every once in a while Impossible Burger and I have to ask for no tomatoes. I've never been one to say I don't want toppings on something, and it makes me feel so bougie and ridiculous. An Impossible Burger with no tomatoes. It's like a burger without tomatoes. That's a crime against humanity. Well, I walked right into that. And then there were two. Oh God. The creatures. I don't think he's gonna get him. Yeah, no. They're all surrounding me in a group hug. That one's not happening. Keep making me think that there's something there for me. There's not. There's not. Wish IRL I would get rewarded for using stamina. So many flowers. I think that's about that for tonight. Tomatoes and wood. We have. Oh, I forgot we have survivor rescues. Do. I don't even know how many of these we have. That many. One more? One more. Manage survivors. Do we need to recruit everyone? Like, that's... Didn't really realize what I was doing there. Post-apocalyptic partners? Well, I guess they're just apocalyptic partners. Good for them. PIC, partner in crime. Why not? That point, at least, it'll be done by noon tomorrow. Now I'm invested in this last little bit. Maybe we'll bop around with this a little bit tomorrow. I would like to bring out Lego Batman again, though. Ooh, I think I've only... I need to make sure the... What is it called? Capture card works. I haven't tested it since we first set everything up, and that was now, like, a cool couple of months ago. Retro. Okay. BB time. I was like busy but not. I had to pick up Ringo's meds in the morning. And then I have the workshop, which is online. Cats in Action. Helping Cats Near You, TNR workshop. At 11 a.m. I'm excited. Really wonder if it's going to be the same info or a different version of information shared. I don't know if the workshop just repeats or if it's like a course. Which way is my camera normally? The other way. It put it back and stretched it back. Like that usually, right? Isn't it? I don't even know at this point. When I open stream tomorrow and look at it and it looks strange or normal, will be the determining factor. No, that is straight. Then everything's written forward. My camera's always crooked. A couple of months ago, that was a year ago. You know what? You're not wrong. Swap our categories a boot. Go see Peebs. Story time with Miss Jeej. She has until Sunday to decide if she wants to make any progress to beat a house cat. Otherwise, I'll keep trying and being insane forever, and that's not fair. What am I looking for? Twitch, so I can swap that category. Strummunger. Oh, that button. I'm mildly impressed with how Kick Mobile worked earlier. Needs some tweaking on its end and on my end, but I think it's a valuable resource. I'm glad they have implemented it in some way, even if not advertised it yet. What am I looking for? Just catting. There you go. Do your thing, King. It's the weekend. We all deserve to relax. There, go cam going. I think the issue with my phone battery lately has been I have just not left it on the charger enough. I'm a bit amazed, but not surprised. It was a me issue. I'm glad I sprung for this computer when I did, though. I feel like everything is way more expensive and only getting more expensive at this point in time. I probably overpaid a little bit, but I feel like I got good bang for my buck. But if I went to do that now versus then, I think that would have been a rock and a hard place. Would have been selling parts of my soul. Whatever is left of it. Go to the main page. Let me pull up chat. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tank test. Oh, my hair is so wild right now, but thank you. I had it in nice little curls earlier, and without even thinking, I grabbed my hairbrush before I started stream on here. It looked really nice earlier. And then I brushed everything out, and now it's just all floof. Lion cosplay today, Harley cosplay tomorrow. I guess most of the curl is gone, but my hair is not as naturally curly as it was earlier. I have like Irish curls where some places it's straight. These are more my natural curls. But like still a little bit exaggerated. Usually my hair doesn't wave so far up. It stays straight to about here. And then it goobles out. Some of my curls are still hiding underneath here. And cute little wavy waves. This is, I guess, technically my natural color, though. Everyone on my dad's side of the family is born a redhead. And then your hair gets dark. Kind of like how blondes get, like super blonde kids get darker as they get older. Hair will go to like auburn by the time you're 10 or 12. And then almost black with like a hint of red. Really dark brunette by the time you're fully grown. I'm gonna lose audio for a sec while I flip us over. It's interesting. Shining. If it never would have gotten darker, though, this is how it would be naturally. Max floof to match the zoo. Exactly. Exactly. Mr. Voya Bean, you're very cute. And I love you, Mr. Skaboop. I love you, I love you, I love you. What are you doing? He's in my t-shirt pile. I look so scuzzy in the background, but at the same time, like, it makes him happy. It's worth it. I feel like most super light hair gets way darker with age. Boy is a big baby. If he was a baby, he would be like the baby with the cigar in. If he was a human baby, he'd be like the baby with the cigar in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That would be Voya. Ma, give me another kibble. Genetics are so weird. Hair is so weird. Wonder if there's any consistent. Well, it probably just depends on your genetics again. There's a consistent color you keep all of your life. We might need the battery pack. I'll put it in my pocket in case we need it. I think I'm gonna grab a thicker hoodie though. I feel it chill. I feel it chill. There's better. Cozy. Cozy wozy toasty. Let's go see Miss Peebs. Another sip of coffees. Let's see. See this little spot. Oh, Gunther's laying under. They're all on the rug. Gunther's laying under the little bench. And then Zeke's in the spot over there. Zeke has become one with the t-shirts. At some point, I will replace our tall tripod. I just need to be able to think about what I want. If I want to attempt to upgrade to bigger, better. What am I forgetting? I don't know. Charlie, don't write checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash. Oh no, I think it's Slavka being ridiculous. Slavka, you're just ridiculous. What am I forgetting? I feel like something. No, oh, music. I want to pause it because it seems to. Voya seems to prefer it off if I'm not in the room. There we go. I don't know. Whatever I'm forgetting, it's not important. Gunther is the cutest napper. He's having a covert nap mission. Boy, you're blocking him. He's incognito. Gunther. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He is the Gunther baby boo, so love him for goodness sakes. Hi, Voya. Voya says, what about me? Sliding in all cute and sassy. Hello, sunny boy. Hello, sweet sunny boy. Can we do laundry at some point this weekend? Can I wash my t-shirts, please? Gotta replenish the stinky t-shirt collection. Love you, Bean. Love you. Love you, I love you, I love you. I'm going to go get the baby some milk and probiotics. Slavka, you are, excuse me, a beast. Slavka's giving me acid reflux. Just kidding. Of all the things I do deal with, I have never had heartburn. I've never had acid reflux. I find that so interesting. Hello! Oh, look at Joe, you sweet bubbo. PB missed you guys. She says, there's too many girls in the room. Where's the boys? Oh, big scritchins, big stretchums, big rubbins, big purrs. Oh, you're so cute. You're gonna fall over. She's such a goober. I was looking at the other cats, and they have a less pronounced divot than she has back there. I wonder if I keep thinking her stature is, careful, dwarfy because of that. I feel like she does look kind of squat anyway. Oh my god, you are so silly. Is that chair really doing it for you? Her tail's gotten longer, though. Like, she's definitely gotten a little bit bigger. Just proportionately. You are beyond adorable, Miss Peebs. You just Wreck-It Ralphed your jump down. Come here, sissy. Oh! Look how little she is! Like, my goodness. There, that's not, like, 0.5 perspective. That's closer, but still. Like, I have big feet, to be fair. She's, like, as big as my foot. Aww. It's one thing I love a lot about baby time. It makes me think about when my others were little. When PB first came here, she was, we think about the same age as Munster when I brought him home, and it was so magical all over again. And she does this, maybe she'll do it, I don't know. She does what Munster used to do. Well, she plays peekaboo, which is cool. Munster used to do that. But Daisy, Stripes, and Nibbler never let me do this. And she lets me do this. And I can just scoop her up with my bathrobe in the morning and we can have a good 20 minutes of coffee together like this. And it makes me so happy. We're like a fifth, a sixth, an eighth the size of Daisy's tail. Well, she's not in the mood for it right now, but still. I love it. Oh, you farted. Thank you for not pooping on me in case that was a possibility. You tooted. You just a baby kangaroo? I haven't tried her in, earlier I wanted to, and I forgot about it as soon as I thought of it. Tomorrow I want to try putting her in a backwards hoodie. Like in this part. This hoodie is big. One that's like more fitted. So she doesn't just bloop. And see if she'll go in the hood part of it. You're so cute and little. You're so cute and little. I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're safe. I'm so glad you get to have such a good life. The air biscuits. That left paw going. Hi. Am I just a really, really ugly version of your mom? Rubbins and snuzzles. She loves to be loved on. She's the most lovey baby in the world. Daisy was pretty lovey, but Stripes and Nibbler were so independent. It's amazing. It's such a different experience. You just gotta get your little butt sorted out. You've been a shittin' for like a month and a half now. You can't do that. Can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore. You gotta poop salad. Let's get your probiotic. She could do this forever. She is so affectionate. Her being born outside and like having zero people contact before all of this, like, my goodness. Who knows? Maybe their mom had a feeder friend and they were exposed to people, but she is just so sweet. She was also scooped up at like the perfect socialization window, though. As far as being weaned, but still being dumb enough to present to people. Not dumb enough, but that's the best way to attempt to phrase it. What are you doing? I'm trying to crawl at the back of my sweater. Only thing she really doesn't do that I miss, though, is climbing on me. As much as it looked ridiculous, I miss when Stripes, Nibbler, and Daisy would just spider monkey onto me. Especially Daisy, she would do it with such gusto. I miss it. But I'll take the trade of holds versus the jumpies. And maybe she'll do it more as she gets bigger, too. She's just Little Miss Independent. Little Miss Independent. Alright, let's get your let go. With your probiotic. She doesn't need milk anymore, but she doesn't take wet food, and I have to get the probiotic in her somehow. And she loves the milk. So that is the way. That's my toesies. That's my toesies. You gotta do like ballet around you. You're so silly. Hi, boy. You don't know. Excuse me. I got tough. I thought you were a PB for a second. I thought you were Peebs. Hello. She's awfully curious about Void, and Void is awfully curious about her. I would venture to guess that them being in close proximity to one another, that like Void would have been exposed to whatever she's been exposed to, minus like the roundworm, but that should be cleared up by now. And I would love for them to try and play together, but I just can't in good conscience do it until this little one stops shitting her damn pants. I don't want to have to medicate two sick kitties. I don't want to make Void not feel good either. Ready for Mlecko? You got the tiny syringe today. You gotta do 6 of them. Yummy, 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 yummy. She's such a little hamster. I should have named her Hamtaro. We have to put that on our list for a future foster friend. Hamtaro. Whoever reminds us most of her next. Aw, that's so cute. Well done, sweets. You spoke their language. I loved the climbing baby phase. When it first started happening, it kind of freaked me out because I was like, oh my god, you're launching yourself on me. Is this safe? Don't fall down. Do I need to put a shelf on my ass or something? But it was so endearing. There's 3. Yummy, 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 yummy. Such a little hamster. Oh, that's not sucking all that up. Hold on. You gotta make it to have it. That's what I tell Gunther every morning. It's our motivational speech. Gunther gets very fussy at his mealtime. He's like, I want it and I want it now. Not waiting. Not waiting for you to fill the bowls, Mom. And I tell Gunther every morning we gotta make it to have it. There's 4. And honestly, that's like excellent life guidance. You do gotta make it to have it. So it's sludgy with the probiotic mixed in. It's thick. It's like watered down peanut butter for PB. There's 5. Oh, so good. Your tablet turned off, honey. Your bird TV. Should we start teaching you good mindful values in life? Should we find Yo Gabba Gabba? Is there a Yo Gabba Gabba YouTube channel? That would be nice. Wait, PBS Kids has YouTube, doesn't it? Should we put on Arthur for her? Number 6. Number 6. Oh, yummy. Oh, yummy. Oh, yummy. I should have given you medicine in between one and then the other. Sorry, that's my blunder. We have enough for morning, and then we gotta make some more. Let's get you your meds, girly. Where's things? Hi. See, at least the perk of doing that around meds time is she thinks every bottle is then therefore milk. Baby boogies. I know. Eye drops are the worst. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. I think this bottle like doesn't have a fully open top or something. It seems weird to squeeze. Manufacturing error. Ready? One more. Oh, you're so big and tough and brave. Good job. Good job. Good job. I feel like Void would like watching combat sports. She's been watching Bird TV, and there was a commercial on last night while I was having a little snack with her. and it was something with like a ball bouncing on the screen. I don't remember what it was a commercial for, but she ran right up to the TV and started like watching it everywhere it was going and like was getting ready to pounce it, and then the commercial ended. I felt bad. One of my dad's cats used to watch golf with him all the time and would like chase the swing and chase the ball on the screen. Oh, baseball would be cute. I can see how cats would get very into sports. Like there's something moving everywhere, no matter what. What do you think, Peebs? Steve don't know. Steve don't know nothing. We love that for her. Let's see, where do we want anything? I think PBS was a YouTube channel. Hi, Peebs. You're very cute and silly. Oh yeah, get that foot. Get it. It's an evil foot. What did it do to you? It walked in your territory. On your turf. Oh my goodness. Music for you, Hank Hillrap. Oh, sorry. Don't want to make you feel exposed to the world. Poor baby. Her little upset tummy. Her little upset tummies. It's okay, Mama. I feel bad that the KMR is mixed into milk too, because that's just more liquid, which is good for hydration, but no, that's not what I wanted, Tablet. Also means that there's more liquid running through her. This tablet was not made for the fumble-fingered. I am the fumble-fingered. PBSkids.org. I don't know why I thought something would be live. It's like just the actual channel. There. Oh, hockey is such a big puck too. I feel like she'd have so much fun with that. That's cute. You get your tummy all sorted out there, lady? Okay. She has the funniest little merp squeak until she's going to the vet. And then she has a big adult cat meow. That's why that's on there. Thank you for scooting your boot. She pooped on the bed the other day, thankfully on one of the covers because I was smart enough to put it on there because she pooped all over me while I laid down to take a nap with her. Apparently she's decided that the bed is a safe poop zone, which it is not, or I guess the couch. But thankfully it was just on blankets and not actually on me and not on the couch. But that was a pleasant surprise, definitely. It's like, what are you doing? This awfully weird biscuit stance. And then I just hear got pooped on. She's just a little mini monster. Oh, there's a cat named Milo, but he's a black cat. I've never seen this one before. I've been scrolling through the playlist. I haven't seen Arthur yet. What about Milo? Milo sounds cute. Does anyone have the intel on Milo? I mean, I feel like that's already my stream. Except it's a bit more adult than Miss Rachel. Not as fun colors and dance time either. Let's try some Milo the Explorer. It looks cute. I've never heard of it, but really can't go wrong with that. Makes me think of Milo and Otis too. That's why I noticed that the cat is like the wrong color. It looks really cute though. It's visually stimulating. Where'd you go? I thought she jumped up here, but she's at the window. PB, what do you think? You wanna watch Milo? I think it gets the PB seal of approval. Peep seal of approval. Oh, it's the Peppa Pig people. Probably not, but any British accent cartoon makes me think of Peppa Pig. My niece and nephew were born in the Peppa Pig era. I've watched a lot of Peppa Pig. Oh, I'm Peppa Pig. This charger is so broken, yet it still works. It's like sideways. Yeah. Oh, Milo has an M on his shirt. He's a cool cat. You know, she'll really like it if she poops on it. I feel bad. I think at this point she can't. So silly. She can't always tell when she's about to go. It's irritated back there. Nowhere near as bad as when she first came in, but. Crazy lady. Oh. Dignity saving bath time. Okay. Poor girl. Little Tom. Hopefully it will clear up soon. We should have more results from her panel. When did I put it in? Wednesday? By next Wednesday. And Chauncey's report is still just in the preliminary thing. We still don't have the final report for that yet. I was kind of thinking my best as fuck boy. My vet would call this evening, but he did not. Maybe I'll hear tomorrow though. You're so silly. Okay. Who are you calling a cootie queen, you lint licker? You window licker? I love you, peeps. You're very cute. You're a little kitty mission. Little kitty mission. Look at that butt. It's just everywhere. Everywhere. There's been so many new Scooby-Doos though, but that's awesome. One of the more recentish, like, digital animation series. Boop boop. I remember watching with my niece and nephew too. Scooby-Doo is for the ages, man. It's been around forever and ever and ever. Kind of related to Scooby-Doo, but also not, but kind of. Same style of animation, but I don't think Scooby-Doo is Hanna-Barbera. Or maybe it was at one point, but I don't think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Disney, of course, because Disney is Disney, threw a shit fit about any of their licensed characters being used in like mural art or anything of the sort for like daycares and different school settings. So Hanna-Barbera said, hey, Disney wants you to get sued, but you can use our characters for free. And that's why we see all of the Hanna-Barbera characters in children's murals and not any Disney characters. Like, makes sense why no Disney, but Hanna-Barbera straight up said, hey, you can use our characters, no problem. She's so fast. So fast. I learned that recently. I found that so interesting. OG Scooby-Doo is awesome, but the newer ones still hit just right. The newest Scooby-Doo movie, I think the one that came out in 2020. I don't think there's one that's newer than that. What are you doing, Beast? Made me cry. It was horribly emotional. What you doing? It's a Beast. Oh, my dad has another name for Daisy. He calls her the Phantom because of the split of like the coloring on her face. She looks like the Phantom of the Opera. So her new name is Little Missy, short for Little Miss Daisy, slash the Phantom. Like the Phantom of the Opera. What are you thinking, Peebs?
It's making a strange buzzing noise. I think we've got to come and have some water, Lofty. Well, okay, but I'm sure I saw something. Where to next, Lofty?
Oh, it was originally Hanna-Barbera then. I thought maybe, but I definitely didn't know for sure. What are you doing in there?
It's very strong and very safe. Come on, Lofty.
Hey, secret squirrel. How's that working for you?
You'll be okay, as long as you don't look down.
So give me my spot back. Put it back, Mom. Okay, bye. Welcome, Mom, man. I hope you're having a lovely night so far. Just chilling with my foster kitty and a pile of curtains. Fast as fuck, boy! Can't even turn the camera like fast enough to show her zooms.
But that means we're lost in the jungle forever. We'll have to survive using anything.
Oh, snap, we got an awesome human alert. Thank you so much for the kicks. You are kick-ass, my dude. Thank you so much. Woo, woo, woo! She runs up to my shoulder and just, like, gotcha. Gotcha, Mom. I'm making her so mad by moving the blankets right now. Oh my gosh. Flip back. There we go. So Harvey Birdman, attorney at law, was able to use an almost entire cast of Hanna-Barbera characters for the cast. No way! That's interesting. I always wondered where, I'm not familiar with the show by too much, like I'm barely aware of it. But I always wondered where the line was crossed in terms of like parody versus realness of characters. If you're gonna attack me, come on, be a big girl and do it. Don't just fake and fuss around in the curtains. You can do it. You can do it. Be brave. Little squirrel. Hamtaro. I really should have named her Hamtaro. It is so nice to see her acting like a real baby. Not just feeling like a sick little kitten anymore. Not sure what do zoom, do curtains, do toe attacks. Take a breather, take a rest. Smack some fingers, do some rollies. She's so repetitive in her plays. It's adorable. Oh no, the curtains are attacking me. They're biting me. It's the curtains of the Black Lagoon. Are you enjoying yourself? Zoom! Then we're going to reset and do the same thing all over again. It's a whittle. Big jump. Oh, I almost timed it. Big jump. Make the little squeaks. What are you doing? Her focus is less on attacking me now and way more on like keeping the curtains in the secret hiding zone intact. Oh. You getting tired? You're wearing yourself out. Goofy? Goofy? Dangerous game indeed.
It was the best thing ever.
I love these blanket pads. These are
And a bridge. And
washable pee pads.
a wonderful water.
They're awesome to have for zoo stuff.
I think it would be amazing.
I was going through like 1,000,001 potty pads with her, and potty pads are expensive. So I bought these, and I think they're like 32 by 70 or 40 by 70, and cut them in half. And they've been the perfect little panels for her. Better to do more laundry than create more trash. Ready? Ready? Do the wind up and the pitch. And she's back behind. She like hyper fixates. She chooses one game, and that is the game for the night. She's very funny. She is a little demon. She's a cute little demon. Serena for president. What a world it could be where, you just lift up your curtains anywhere you are in the world, and there's a baby kitten. I endorse this. I enforce this. She said, nope. My plan. Oh, the curtains are alive. They're attacking. They're attacking. You move faster than I can even tilt the camera. There, Miss Lady Ma'am. Sneaky stalker. The wind up. Come on. You confused by the sound that I'm making? Give me the pitch. You can do it.
How kind of you to say. Phew, the salon's been super busy today.
I wasn't even paying attention to that. They are probably syncing up well. Milo was a good choice.
Haircuts and styles. His hair radically exciting. Wow. I think Michael's having a hair-raising experience today.
Where are you? Right there. Oh, she just hit her head on the window. Or something. I heard a thunk dunk. Miss Ma'am.
Oh, you do that. No.
Miss Ma'am. Says, no, it's mine. Give it back. This is probably a horrible habit that I'm teaching her. We'll work on not doing that tomorrow because it's really cute for tonight. She's so tiny. She's so little. Too little, biscuit.
It's a hairdresser's outfit, Suds.
Got the yawns. Make some more tea before we go down with Gigi. Gigi.
Suds?
Gigi.
Hairdresser's outfits we can wear.
Well, now, keep your hair on.
Recess.
Let's have a look.
One more. And then relaxy time. You can do it. You can do it. It's not bite the hand that feeds, just ignore the hand that woogity woogity woogies. She looks so purposeful with everything she's doing. Like, this is her mission. This is her trade. This is what she was born to do. This is her birthright. She has the determination.
Welcome to Snoop's.
She has the determination.
Let's see. Big bubble hair wash, super smooth conditioning gel.
Look at you, so tough and cute in your little cage. They coming out of my cage, and I've been feeling just fine. Because I'm a cute little kitten. Oh, she's sleepy now. She tired herself out.
Oh dear. Can't you get more from somewhere?
Aww. Alright, peeps. Got your tunes on? Got your Mleko? We're gonna go see your wild cousin Gigi and do some story time with Sissy. And then I'll be back to smooch on you before Eepee's, baby girl. I love you. Boop. She's motion or touch activated. You just poke her and she starts purring. Boop. The rumbles are rumbling. I suspect she'll be like Voya when she grows up. Where like Voya, you just look at him cute, and then he's rumbling. Voya, you don't even have to pet. You just have to look at him like you're about to pet him, and then he starts purring. I love you, Peebs. She's so tiny. How is she so small? How is she so small? Stop back in the boys' room for a minute and update the board. And then bop down with Miss Gigi. Story time with Gigi. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Flurp, flurp, flurp. I'm writing generals and I did not update the menu for today, but to be fair, the menu is still the same as it was yesterday. Nothing changed. Is there an H in there, or did I add an H? I added an H. Thank you, lovely biscuits. You wonderful human beings. We are at halfway to our first TNR goal, too. We're at 7 out of 13 awesome humans. And I appreciate you, Bub, so much. Get all the hydrations. Let's go make some tea. And story time with Gigi. I had these on earlier, too, and they were the bane of my... What's my hair doing? My background blackout's existence during game. They're so cute! I cleaned out under one of the bathroom cabinets downstairs and I found them. I found a pair of pink ones too. There's so much stuff under there that I forgot I had. Forgot I had my water flosser. I have my water flosser back out now. That thing makes me so happy. I think everything got shoved under there when Tank came in. And then I just never took it back out or looked for it. They are so cute. I like these. They're very like, probably went out of style in like 2017 or 2018. But I think they're cute. And just a little polar bear. Hi, Void. Do you need a smooch too? Do you need a smooch too? Void now claims lap time. For like the 30 minutes that I sit down with my book and my red light therapy and my white light therapy and all of that in the morning. We have our little girly wake up time together. Do my skincare. Pretend to give her little bits and pieces of it. It's all girl power in this house. Oh, and then even cuter, or just as cute even, when I do my skincare before I do my makeup, Charlie always joins me in the bathroom, comes on the counter. And then we have to do the same routine. Boyd, you're such a love. You're such a love. She has made such amazing progress. But she's kind of dumb sometimes. She doesn't know what she's doing. Boyd is just such a sweet girl. She needs a gamer boy with boy cats or dogs to be her best boyfriend forever. Void, your birthday is tomorrow because we decided your birthday is tomorrow. She was so funny earlier. She was on the bed and I laid down in here with her and Chauncey earlier and she didn't hiss, didn't meow, didn't make a sound, just looked at Chauncey. And Chauncey laid down on the carpet on the floor. Chauncey didn't crawl in bed. I had to coax Chauncey into bed because Void was just laying out in the middle, so proud and large and in charge. And she's small, but she man spreaded herself out. She denied him the bed. I'm very, very surprised that she coexists well with dogs. But that's awesome. It makes her very, very adoptable or very zooable. Strange when Void doesn't have babies all over her. I know. Ma'am spread. Yes, exactly. I think she's happier not having babies, though. Like, she's an excellent mom, and I think she would be a great helper with PB if there wasn't, like, contamination exposure. I don't think she would mind it, but I think she's really enjoying this era of life where she just gets to do her own thing. She can play with a toy whenever she wants. She can eat without being bothered. She's not getting chased around the litter box. Like, she's totally acting like a baby herself now in terms of play and curiosity, and she just gets this amazing second start at life. But if she didn't have the babies, I don't think she'd be as playful as she is, because they really taught her how to play. She still plays like an idiot though. She looks like a goat when she's playing. She just bounces to the thing. She doesn't stalk and run up. She just doop doop doop. It's interesting. Ma'am spread. I'm still laughing at that. She does have a dominating presence. Not in just a very passive way though. Not in an intimidating way, but Chauncey walked in here and she just looked at him and he conceded to the floor. Like, Mommy got some pull. Mommy got some power. The all-powerful Void. She says, why aren't you petting me? You gotta tell your cousin downstairs that she can be a house cat if she wants to. Otherwise, she gotta be a barn cat. Ugh. I feel bad, but I'm not going to make her miserable any longer than I need to. She has until Sunday to show me any sign of sociability. And if she doesn't, and she keeps being scared and terrified and horrified of people, then she will be a barn kitty. Hello, sweetness. Hello, sweetness. We love you, Void. I'm so surprised you turned out to be as nice and loving as social as you are. She's just a little princess who didn't get a chance. Now she does. She gets infinite chances. Alright, we're done being the Blue Man Group. There were some words of wisdom. And, realistically, I don't know, giving her the best chance or opportunity to have an indoor life if she would be okay with that. And so far, she's saying she's not. But on the same token, too, there's so many animals that reach their limit of time and are euthanized in shelters, and realistically, it's not a waste of time, but put into perspective, here I am wasting time with a cat that doesn't want to be socialized. But you never know, maybe she would have wanted to be socialized if she was a different type of cat. You never know. It was worth a try. There was some valuable information though, but at the same time, I think I said this before, everyone in different sects of rescue, sects, SECTS, it's hard to say that without making it sound like sex. They all have their correct approach. So you run into TNR people and they believe that that's not the only option, but the right option. You run into rehabilitators and they believe that's the right and only option. And every Slavka, you're gonna knock my stuff over and I'm in the middle of a thought. Every professional in their own section of things is going to think that their way is the right way or the only way. And possibly both. And I don't think any of those things, but I don't really have a sect of rescue yet. My sect of rescue is just try your best. Just do the most you can and try your best. Because I mean, if it was up to, and I'm not saying this is wrong at all, but if it was up to the person that did the Cats in Action seminar, I mean, Charlie, Void, Voya, Gunther, even Tank. Who else is now Outdoor Kitty? Slavka. It would have all been TNR, like not an option to bring inside because the less heads you have to take care of. Get your butt out of the camera. The more you can dedicate to TNR and kitten rescue. Like that's basically her focus of area is TNR, all the adults. You're gonna knock all of this over. TNR, all the adults, and get the kittens socialized and adoptable as possible at a. Hi, Charlie. It's not for you. At an appropriate age, like PB's age when she came in. And that's not wrong. That's just not. I feel like I always want to approach that as situation pending. So obviously we're finding out that Gigi is not a fan of being inside and attempting to be socialized. So that situation is now pending into what I hope to be socialization, but instead is going to be TNR. And I accept that, and that's fair. But then, you know, PB, of course, is going to be socialized and adopted out. And I don't know, the rest of my time at this house, I want to try and dedicate to TNR as much as possible. So everyone's fixed that I can fix before I go. And then whoever ends up being a foster will inevitably be a foster because I'm a sucker and I can't say no. I can't set this down for 2 seconds, can I, Slavka? It's not too late to TNR you. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. I love you more than anything. You're going to hate being picked up right now, but I would never put you back outside. I can't subject the world to this crazy. She's insane. I don't know. I mean, at some point I'll have to choose like what my general direction of rescue is. But right now it's just pretty broad. I just want to try everything that I can. I do appreciate that I was able to try to take my own approach with her, and I learned a lot. I mean, a lot of acceptance, for example, even. Because this is a hard to swallow part of rescue where a cat just does not want to be socialized. I mean, dogs will always end up coming around, even if they're fractious and have behavioral issues. Dogs will always end up coming around. I had to bring down my tea and then grab her wet food. But cats, not so much. Cats are only suggestible. And being born outside feral, like, I'm attempting to socialize a raccoon right now. How simple is that going to be? Not very. But I do need to understand and recognize and force myself to live with the fact that there's only so much time and dedication and effort you can put into something before you have to look at it realistically and throw in the towel realistically. Not that I'm throwing in the towel on you, but Gigi is such a unique case too because I didn't trap her. She was trapped by someone else for like 48 hours. And then she got transferred to me because I agreed to take her on so that she wouldn't be released unspayed in an unfamiliar environment where it's much more trafficky and not a good space at all. So I mean, she didn't really have another option other than being released right after she got spayed, to be perfectly fair. But her not being ear tipped, I'm grateful that she's going to be a barn kitty instead of just going right back out. But you're supposed to return them to where they were trapped too, and that's not an option because that guy does not like her and he's not going to want her around, and I can't put her in danger. I mean, who's to say that he won't graduate from just trapping and relocating to doing what was done to Zeke. It's very sad. I store the nuggies in the microwave so the trash kittens don't get at them. I was just lazy earlier and I put the Burger King bag in the microwave. But to be honest, fries stay like they reheat better if you don't put them in the fridge. So like obviously this doesn't work if you want to have fries for like days. But when I get carry out like in the middle of the day, I'll just leave food out because then it heats up better than going back into the fridge. She is a wild woman. Mm. I think you've brought up a Charlie before because I have a Charlie too. Charlie Bear. Let me grab her foods and then we'll bop into some Gigi's story time. No, you can't fix stupid. You can only try to rehabilitate cats. It's used. I've spent so many years being angry at people and their treatment of animals and the responsibility that we all have to the world that not everyone takes on. And it's a wasted effort. Why would I go be angry at someone for how they're treating an animal when I can just save the animal and put the time and attention into the positive times with them instead? I don't believe in having a threatening existence. That's not for me. Let's get you your food, G's. Let's get you your foods. Maybe. I mean, the bottom line for me is it all comes down to like you can't fix stupid, but you can fix dogs and cats. Whether spaying and neutering or providing an enriching environment. Can't fix stupid, but you can fix dogs and cats. That's what I choose to focus on. Really hard to breathe tonight. I don't know if I'm having like an asthma issue at this point or what. I thought it was my sinuses. It's really hard to breathe. Mm. Punisher was such a good show. I want to rewatch it. I really like the intro. The intro always makes me cry. Where are we here? We're like a third of the way through, almost halfway through the book already. So we'll have a chapter tonight with Gigi. And then a chapter tomorrow with Gigi. Well, that one's short. 2 chapters tomorrow with Gigi. Tomorrow's Saturday. Then Sunday, maybe we'll be reading with Peavy. I don't know. I'm going to text the girl whose barn she would be going to on Sunday if we don't make progress by then. And we'll be more than halfway through by the time we get to Peavy. Oh, she's going to come right in the middle. She's not going to know what's going on in the storyland. Goodness golly. Chapter 7. Oh, back to the Vogon poetry. Try and do it some justice here. Vogon poetry, of course, is the third worst in the universe. Oh, Churu. I forgot for Churu. Thankfully, Churu is not the worst. Churu is the best. Churu is the best. Giving her all the stinky, spoiled ones. Not like spoiled, like yucky, but spoiled her extra. I'm gonna be sad when she goes. I mean, I acknowledge that at this point she's just miserable attempting to socialize. Hi, baby girl. And I feel bad for that. I didn't want to ever cause her misery. But at least she's getting the good and stinky treats. What's this one? I think it's crab. Yeah. Chicken and crab. So fancy. It's so fancy. Oh. Ew. All you gotta do to be a house cat, Gigi, is just eat off the plate in front. That's all you gotta do. You can do that, then we can do this. Otherwise, I don't know. The other difficult thing about socializing ferals at this level of fractiousness and not wanting to be involved with people at all is that eventually, if I spent 3 years working with her, for example, eventually she would reach some kind of phase of socialized, but it would only be with me. And I have a big zoo. And ideally, I would like to just adopt out at this point for anyone who is new influx. So that's kind of the other double-edged sword of, okay, do I have 3 years to put into this project cat and take on another cat in general? Like, of course, I will take in anyone who needs a home, but if we're being mindful and realistic here, we have a solution to this, and there are many more positive things we can be doing in the world. Not that Gigi doesn't matter. Gigi is special and we love her, but she doesn't love me. She got these big, wide, scared eyes. Yeah, you just gotta come out and listen to some Douglas Adams. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. Vogon poetry is, of course, the third worst in the universe. The second worst is that of the Asgoths of Kriya. During a recitation of their poet master Grunthos, the flatulent of his poem, ode to a small lump of green putty I found in my armpit one summer morning, 4 of his audience died of internal hemorrhaging, and the president of the Mid-Galactic Arts Nobbling Council survived only by gnawing one of his own legs off. Grunthos is reported to have been disappointed by the poem's reception, and was about to embark on a reading of his favorite book, of his 12-book epic. I don't know where I got favorite from. Oh, entitled My Favorite Bath Time Gurgles, with his own major intestine, in a desperate attempt to save life and civilization, leapt straight up through his neck and throttled his brain. The very worst poetry of all perished along with its creator, Nancy Paul Millstone Jennings of Greenbridge, Essex, England, in the destruction of planet Earth. Oh, okay. Sad. Prostetnik Vogon Jeltz smiled very slowly. This was not done so much for effect as he was trying to remember the sequence of muscle movements. He had a terribly therapeutic yell at his prisoners and was now feeling quite relaxed and ready for callousness. The prisoners sat in poetry appreciation chairs, strapped in. Vogons suffered no illusions to regard their works were generally held in. Their early attempts at composition had been part of a bludgeoning insistence that they be accepted as properly evolved and cultured race. But now the only thing that kept them going was sheer bloody-mindedness. The sweat stood out cold on Ford Prefect's brow.
and slid around the electrodes strapped to his temples. These were attached to a battery of electronic equipment, imagery intensifiers, rhythmic modulators, alliterative residulators, and simile dumpsters, all designed to heighten the experience of the poem and make sure not a single nuance of the poet's thought was lost. Arthur Dent sat and quivered. He had no idea what any of this was for, but he knew he hadn't liked anything that had happened so far and didn't think things were about to change. The Vogon began to read, a fetid little passage of its own devising. "Oh, Freddled Gruntbugly," he began. Spasms rackled Ford's body. This was worse than he'd been prepared for. "Thy Necturians are to me as plurtled gobbleblitchets and a lurgid bee." "Ah!" went Ford Prefect, retching his head back as the lumps of pain throttled through it. He could dimly see beside him Arthur lolling and rolling in his seat. He clenched his teeth. "Group, I implore thee," continued the merciless Vogon, "my foonting turnling drones." His voice was rising to a horrible pitch of impassioned stridency. "And hooptitiously drangle me with crinkly binglewordles, or I will render thee in the gobbleworts of my blurger crunchian. See if I don't." "Yeah," cried Ford Prefect. I'm trying to make that as quiet as possible. I think he's more like, "Yeah." And through one final spasm in the electronic enhancement of the last line caught him full blast across the temples. He went limp. Arthur lolled. "Now, Earthlings," whirled the Vogon. He didn't know the Ford Prefect was in fact from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Betelgeuse, and wouldn't have cared if he had. "I present you with a simple choice. Either die in a vacuum of space, or—" He paused for melodramatic effect. "Tell me how good you thought my poem was." He threw himself backward into a huge leathery bat-shaped seat and watched them. He did the smile again. Ford was rasping for breath. He rolled his dusty tongue around in his parched mouth and moaned. Arthur said brightly, "Actually, I quite liked it." Ford turned and gaped. Here was an approach that had simply not occurred to him. The Vogon raised an eyebrow that effectively obscured his nose and was therefore no bad thing. "Oh, good," he whirred, in considerable astonishment. "Oh, yes," said Arthur. "I thought some of the metaphysical imagery was really quite particularly effective." Ford continued to stare at him, slowly organizing his thoughts around this totally new concept. Were they really going to be able to bareface their way out of this? "Yes, do continue," invited the Vogon. "Oh, and interesting rhythmic devices, too," continued Arthur, which seemed to counterpoint he floundered. Ford leapt to his rescue, hazarding, "Counterpoint the surrealism of the underlying metaphor of he floundered, too, but Arthur was ready again. "Humanity of the Vogonity," Ford hissed at him. "Ah, yes, the Vogonity, sorry, of the poet's compassionate soul." Arthur felt he was on a home stretch now, which contrives with the medium of the converse structure to sublimate this, transcend that, and of course come to terms with the fundamental dichotomies of the other. He was reaching a triumphant crescendo, and one left with a profound and vivid insight into Ford leapt in with a coup de grace. "Into whatever the poem was about," he yelled, out of the corner of his mouth. "Well done, Arthur. That was very good." The Vogon perused them. For a moment he admitted a racial soul had been touched, but he thought, no, too little, too late. His voice took on the quality of a cat snagging a brushed nylon. "So what you're saying is that I write poetry because underneath my mean, callous, heartless exterior, I just really want to be loved," he said. He paused. "Is that right?" Ford laughed a nervous laugh. "Well, I mean, yes," he said. "Don't we all deep down, you know?" The Vogon stood up. "No, well, you're completely wrong," he said. "I just write poetry to throw my mean, callous, heartless exterior into sharp relief. I'm going to throw you off my ship anyway. Guard, take the prisoners to number 3 airlock and throw them out." "What?" shouted Ford. A huge young Vogon stepped forward and yanked them out of their straps with his huge blubbery arms. "You can't throw us into space," yelled Ford. "We're trying to write a book." "Resistance is useless," shouted the Vogon guard back at him. It was the first phrase he learned when he joined the Vogon Guard Corps. The captain watched with a detached amusement and then turned away. Arthur stared round him wildly. "I don't want to die now," he yelled. "I've still got a headache. I don't want to go to heaven with a headache. I'd be all cross and I wouldn't enjoy it." fair point. The guard grasped them both firmly around the neck, bowing indifferentially towards the captain's back, hoiked them back with protesting out of the bridge. A steel door closed, and the captain was on his own again. He hummed quietly and mused to himself, lightly fingering his notebook of verses. He said. Blurp. Okay. He said. The counterpoint of surrealism, the underlying metaphor. He considered this for a moment, and then closed the book with a grim smile. Death's too good for them, he said. Vogon poetry isn't so bad when Serena reads it. I mean, I'm not garbling it out. Group, I implore thee. Next time I call upon Club Cult, I'll rail out that line. The long steel-lined corridor echoed into the feeble struggles of the two humanoids clamped firmly under the rubbery Vogon armpits. Ew. This is great, sputtered Arthur. This is really terrific. Let go of me, you brute. The Vogon guard dragged them on. Don't you worry, said Ford. I'll think of something. He didn't sound hopeful. Resistance is useless, bellowed the guard. Just don't say things like that, stammered Ford. How can anyone maintain a positive mental attitude if you're saying things like that? My God, complained Arthur. You're talking about a positive mental attitude, and you haven't even had your planet demolished today. I woke up this morning and thought I'd have a nice, relaxed day. Do a bit of reading, brush the dog. Now it's just after 4 in the afternoon, and I'm already being thrown out of an alien spaceship 6 light years away from the smoking remains of the Earth. He sputtered and gurgled as the Vogon tightened his grip. All right, said Ford, just stop panicking. Who said anything about panicking? Snapped Arthur. This is still the culture shock. You wait until I've settled down into the situation and found my bearings. Then I'll start panicking. Arthur, you're getting hysterical. Shut up. Ford tried desperately to think, but was interrupted by the guard shouting again. Resistance is useless. You can shut up as well, snapped Ford. Resistance is useless. Oh, give it a rest, said Ford. He twisted his face till he was looking straight up into his captor's face. A thought struck him. Do you really enjoy this sort of thing? He asked suddenly. The Vogon stopped dead, and a look of immense stupidity seemed slowly over his face. Enjoy, he boomed. What do you mean? What I mean, said Ford, is does it give you a full, satisfying life? Stomping around, shouting, pushing people out of spaceships. The Vogon stared up at the low ceiling, and his eyebrows almost rolled over each other. His mouth slacked. Finally he said, Well, the hours are good. They'd have to be, agreed Ford. Arthur twisted his head around to look at Ford. Ford, what are you doing? He asked in an amazed whisper. Oh, just trying to take an interest in the world around me, okay? He said. So the hours are pretty good then, he resumed. The Vogon stared down at him at the sluggish thoughts moiled around in the murky depths. Yes, he said, but now you've come to mention it. Mostly the actual minutes are pretty lousy. Except, he thought again, which required looking at the ceiling, except some of the shooting. Some of the shouting I quite like. He filled his lungs and bellowed. Resistance is... Sure, yes, interrupted Ford hurriedly. You're good at that, I can tell. But if it's mostly lousy, he said, slowing down the words to give them time to reach their mark, then why do you do it? What is it? The girls? The leather? The machismo? Or do you just find that coming to terms with the mindless tedium of it all presents an interesting challenge? Arthur looked backward and forward between them in bafflement. Said the guard. I don't know. I just think I sort of do it, really. My aunt said that a spaceship guard was a good career for a young Vogon. You know, the uniform, the low-slung stun ray holster, the mindless tedium. There you are, Arthur, said Ford with an air of someone reaching the conclusion of his argument. You think you've got problems. Arthur rather thought he had, apart from the unpleasant business that was now his home planet. The Vogon guard half throttled him down already. He didn't like the sound of being thrown into space very much. Try and understand his problem, insisted Ford. There he is, poor lad. His entire life's work is stamping around, throwing people off spaceships. And shouting, added the guard. And shouting, sure, said Ford, patting his blubbery arm clamped around his neck in a friendly condescension. And he doesn't even know why he's doing it. Arthur agreed that this was very sad. He did it with a small, feeble gesture, because he was too asphyxiated to speak. Deep rumblings of amusement came from the guard. Well, now that you put it like that, I suppose. Good lad, encouraged Ford. But all right, went on the rumblings. So what's the alternative? Well, said Ford brightly but slowly, stop doing it, of course. Tell them, he went on, you're not going to do it anymore. He felt he ought to add something to that, but for the moment the guard seemed to have his mind occupied pondering that much. There really is that many M's, said the guard. Well, it doesn't sound that great to me. Ford suddenly felt the moment slipping away. No, wait a minute, he said. That's just the start. You see, there's more to it than that, you see? But at that moment, the guard renewed his grip and returned his original purpose of lugging his prisoners to the airlock. He was obviously quite touched. Pardon. Pardon. No, I think if it's all the same to you, he said, I'd better get both of you shoved into this airlock and then go and get on with other bits of shouting I've got to do. It wasn't all the same to Ford Prefect at all. Come on now. But look, he said less slowly, less brightly. Ugh, said Arthur, without any clear inflection. But hang on, pursued Ford. There's music and art and things to tell you about yet. Ah! Resistance is useless, bellowed the guard, and then added, you see, if I keep it up, I can eventually get promoted to senior shouting officer. Then there aren't usually many vacancies for non-shouting and non-pushing people around the officers. So I think I'd better stick to what I know. They had now reached the airlock, a large circular steel hatchway of massive strength and weight left into the inner skin of the craft. The guard operated a control, and the hatchway swung smooth open. But thanks for taking an interest, said the Vogon guard. Bye now. He flung Ford and Arthur through the hatchway and into the small chamber within. Arthur lay panting for breath. Ford scrambled round and flung his shoulder uselessly against the reclosing hatchway. But listen, he shouted to the guard. There's a whole world you don't know about anything here. How about this? He desperately grabbed for the only bit of culture he knew offhand. He hummed the first bar of Beethoven's Fifth. Da-da-dum. That doesn't stir anything in you? No, said the guard, not really, but I'll mention it to my aunt. If you said anything further after that, it was lost. The hatchway sealed itself tight, and all sound was lost except the faint distant hum of the ship's engines. They were in a brightly polished cylindrical chamber, about 6 feet in diameter and 10 feet long. Ford looked around it, panting. Potentially bright lad, I thought, he said, and slumped against the curved wall. Arthur was still lying in the curve of the floor where he had fallen. He didn't look up, just lay panting. We're trapped now, aren't we? Yes, said Ford. We're trapped. Well, didn't you think of anything? I thought perhaps you were going to think of something. Perhaps you thought of something and I didn't notice. Oh, yes, I thought of something, panted Ford. Arthur looked up expectantly. But unfortunately, continued Ford, it rather involved being on the other side of this airtight hatchway. He kicked the hatch they had just been thrown through. But was it a good idea, was it? Oh, yes, very neat. What was it? Well, I hadn't worked out the details yet. Not so much point now, is there? So, what happens next? Asked Arthur. Oh, well, the hatchway in front of us will open automatically in a few minutes, and we'll shoot out into deep space, and I expect, and asphyxiate. If you take a lungful of air with you, you can last for up to 30 seconds, of course, said Ford. He stuck his hands behind his back, raised his eyebrows, and began to hum an old Beetlejuicean battle hymn. To Arthur's eyes, he suddenly looked very alien. So this is it, said Arthur. We're going to die. Yes, said Ford. Except, no, wait a minute. He lunged across the chamber at something behind Arthur's line of vision. What's this switch? He cried. What? Where? Cried Arthur, twisting around. No, I was only fooling, said Ford. We're gonna die after all. That's brutal. It's a new rank. Senior shouting officer. Oh God, instead of being a CEO, I'll be an SSO. He slumped against the wall again and carried on the tune from where he left off. You know, said Arthur, it's at times like this where I'm trapped in a Vogon airlock with a man from Beetlejuice and about to die of asphyxiation in deep space. I really wish I listened to what my mother told me when I was young. Why? What did she tell you? I don't know. I didn't listen. Oh, Ford carried on humming. This is terrific, Arthur thought to himself. Nelson's column had gone. McDonald's had gone. All that's left is me and the words mostly harmless. Any second now, all that will be left is mostly harmless. And yesterday, the planet seemed to be going so well. The motor whirred. A slight hiss built into a deafening roar of rushing air, and the outer hatchway opened to an empty blackness, studded with tiny, impossibly bright points of light. Ford and Arthur popped into outer space like corks from a toy gun. Dun 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 dun. I can't believe we're going to be halfway through soon. This is very much like a finish in an afternoon book. I wonder which is smaller, this one or Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes is such a good book. I highly recommend to anyone who hasn't read it. And it's such a short, quick bite book. It is such a little book. I want to look this up really quick. I'm going to lose any chat that happens in the meantime, more than likely. How many pages is Planet of... I don't own it, so I can't look. Depending on the version, it's between 192 and 276 pages. So it's about comparable. This feels like a short bite like that one did. I find it interesting that it's more perceptive of time to gauge how long it takes to read something when reading out loud versus like you really get into your own little world and time just disappears when you're reading to yourself. My biggest blunder with reading out loud is when I read in my head, I tend to speed read and like skip forward with things. So when I'm reading aloud, I might be on, this line verbally, but in my head, I'm all the way down here. I think that's pretty common, though. I don't think I'm special with that. Special with many other things, but maybe not that one. It's such a good book. I'd like to see if all the other extended pieces of it are in the library. That would be nice to dive into. It's like a blessing and a curse because you can read so like quickly and efficiently to yourself, but then it comes out like very mush-mouthy reading loud. It's so easy to get sucked into a book and then just stuck there for hours. It's nice. It's a good feeling. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling, a feeling to know that I'll be back when the day is through. We'll have more ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about, and I will too. Apparently we're on a Mr. Rogers bandwagon right now. Mr. Rogers is low-key incredible. When you're reading to yourself, you often let your mind wander and reread the same sentence over and over. I wonder if that's like something that comes about with age. Like not being old, but I feel like I had an easier time getting lost in books when I was younger. We just have more things as an adult to be preoccupied with in our mind. I was like that a lot when I was reading through Game of Thrones, though, because there's so many damn details. Like, you cannot speed read through it. And even if you do, you have to go back and read again. Good stinky food. Gross. Me love baby girl. Yummies. That's our dinneries. Last night she came out like an hour after we were in here to start eating, which was awesome. I feel like yesterday was a lot of progress. Like yesterday she almost came out, like was thinking about, shouldn't say almost came out, but I could tell she was thinking about coming out when I put the churro out in the afternoon. And then yesterday night, she ate within like an hour instead of like 3 hours after we were in here, which was super awesome. And she still had food in her bowl yesterday, so it's not like she was overly hungry. But today she like hates me all over again. Wait, hold on. The Division series, Tom Clancy's, are based on books? That's very understandable though, like for with a book that doesn't click. That's how I felt trying to, I know it's a show versus a book, but trying to watch Dexter the first few times I went through the first episode. It was like I could not focus on I could not force myself to be interested in it if I tried. Trying to remember the last time I read a book that doesn't really click. I'm very picky about my books. Like I love suggestions, but I feel like the suggestions I get are from people with similar interests, so naturally I like it. I think the only time I really don't vibe with a book, with the exception of a few, is when like the main character, the protagonist in the story is a boy. It's hard. It's hard to relate to boys. No way, I didn't know that. That's quite the series. That's really cool. His first book was Hunt for Red October. Dang. There's so much of the Division that I didn't know existed. I didn't even know there was a movie. That's incredible. C'est incroyable. I've never played Division, but I like watching it. It's basically like if Call of Duty mechanics and uh, very, very broadly and vaguely, of course, Call of Duty mechanics and like Uncharted gameplay came together and had a baby. That is incredible for a first book. It is impressive. It's very impressive. Oh, I can't carry all of this up at once. Last night I left the light on because I didn't think about when I was walking out of here. I'm gonna take this up first and I'll come back for you guys. I'll come back for you. Never let go. Never let go. I'm coming back. Bring my tea up too. Work smarter, not harder. I love you, Gigi. I'm sure we'll help for a minute. Hi, Charlie. Hey, Gigi. Little baby girl.
baby mama girl. I'll give you a couple slow blinks before night. Hi. I love you. I love you. I know you're so scared. I love you. Sorry. Does not help that Tank and Slavka are thrown down right now. Huh? It's okay. Gook her up. Now one slow blink back. Silly girl. A lot of his work went past book. It's an impressive career. I can imagine so. I mean, there are arguably many things, but in the grand scheme of things, very few things that have actually elaborated from the point of. Isn't there a Division show too? I feel like that's coming to mind, but I could be wrong about that. But to go as far as to extend to games, books, movies, like, that is quite the reach. That's very impressive. You have to be a very good storyteller, I feel like, to be that adaptable in that way. Love you, Gigi. It's nighttime now. Poor girl. Her daytime starts at like noon and her nighttime starts at like 2 a.m. She's on Serena time. What you doing, Pippi? Just staring into the abyss? Is it staring into the abyss? I feel like, what's his name? Jim from The Office was in it. If it was a show, or maybe it was one of the newer movies. If there was a more recent version of it. Or at least some guy that looks like Jim from The Office. Or I just dreamed it all up. It's doubtful, but still possible. There we go. Hi, Mr. Voyabean. My loyal steed. My loyal steed. Oh my god, stop trying to charge it. It's gonna keep being denied. I need to update my card for my P.O. box. And this is like the 5th time it's tried to go through and been denied tonight because it doesn't have the right expiration and whatnot on it. Like, good lord. Just stop. Just stop. It started like around 8 p.m. and it's local. I don't know why their system is doing this at nighttime. That's where it was. It was on Prime. Jack Ryan is the Division, though, right? Is Jack Ryan the divider of the Division? Is he the divisiveness?
Okay.
I remember thinking it looked good, but being surprised by the familiarity to the video game. Wait, what you doing? Let Voya do his thing, and then I'll flip our camera back over. Okay. You're such a weirdo. I love you. You're my weirdo. That was the most lazy way to look at settings. I could have just moved things, and I didn't. Jack Ryan is the primary character from a lot of Tom Clancy books. Well, he's a cutie pot pie. He's Jim from The Office. I like that you guys call them ears and not balls, because I call them balls. I think I put them on before he went downstairs. Or maybe before he went to PB's room. At some point. I had them on earlier tonight. And then I left them on while I was changing out of other stream clothes. And then briefly back into pajamas. And then into these stream clothes. And by the time I got into these clothes, I was very sick of them getting bonked like that. Like I'm in Star Trek. Or like that. Like, I don't know even what kind of look that is. Wannabe Princess Leia buns? I don't know. I got mad at them, so I took them off. And now I'm over it. I put them back on. Why, thank you. I pride myself in my balls. I have a pink pair, I have a black pair, I have a white pair. Neapolitan balls. I think they're cute. I like them. Hi, Mr. Voya. You wanting to come up and say nice? The boss man says it's time to get some eeps. Yeah, big up Ringo's meds in the morning. I feel so bad. His poor little tummy. This dude has not had a break from tummy issues the entire time he's been here. And we brought him home, what? May? June? Something like that last year? I don't know. I'll have to look at his paperwork. Come here, Mr. Bean. You don't want to come up? You just want to stare at me menacingly under the desk? He's making quite the face at me at the moment. He's very cute and silly, though. We love him for that. And the seminar is tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'm leaving the email open on my computer, and I'm going to leave my computer open and on tonight. So otherwise, I will forget tomorrow, even though it will be in my calendar, because it's virtual. I've never been to a virtual seminar before. I wonder what that'll be like. Do I have to turn my camera on for that? Do I have to be... I don't think so. What does it even go through? Is it through Zoom? I don't have Zoom downloaded. Oh, it is. Shoot, I need to install Zoom. Oh, I went through the entire pandemic not installing Zoom. I went through this entire modern era, post-pandemic, not installing Zoom. I finally have to install Zoom. I only used Teams for one thing. That one I did use briefly. All of my grandpa's... I don't even know how to make this make sense. So my grandpa was in a conservatorship, and the bank was his bank was a part of the conservatorship. Mostly because, actually entirely because the reason he was under conservatorship was because he got scammed out of a huge amount of money. And that was not ideal, obviously, in general, but my dad and his brothers were pretty pissed off that like $20K was gone from their inheritance. So we ended up setting all of that up for him in court, and he wasn't happy about it, but he was still like going along with it, like okay with it, but the bank was involved with it, so he could only charge up to like $200 on his card. Like there are certain safety precautions set in place so that he couldn't get scammed like that again, because that was a really, really big bad deal. I don't know if it was even ever sorted out or if it was solved or refunded. I don't know. It was the worst. I felt so bad about that. He got scammed 2 different times. There was one time where someone spoofed that they were my cousin calling my grandpa from jail and needing a $5K bond, and my grandpa, bless his heart, wired the money. Just didn't even tell my uncle, his dad, just did it. And then we found out and got that one sorted out. That one was taken care of, definitely. I don't know if the other one was or not, though, but that one was a pretty big deal. I don't remember what it was for, but I can understand why he got with it. But yeah, poor old man. Scammers are scum of the earth, people, but to target a 90-something-year-old man, there is a special place in hell for you. That's my old man. Don't do that. I don't know where I even got started on that with, but I don't know. I feel like that was probably the best choice for him, but it still sucked. I used to give him cash all the time. So I felt bad. There would be times that he would tell me, like, he would get groceries and then stop at the gas station after. And then the card wouldn't only let him do so much gas for in the car when he liked filling the pump or filling the tank. And just, I don't know. The only time I've ever seen my grandpa cry was the first time I gave him cash. I don't think my grandpa had ever been given, like, pocket money, so to speak, by anyone probably other than his mother or father. And he cried, and that was, like, I did not expect that. That was very uncomfortable. But everything to do with after his death and getting the bank unwound from all of his money so that it can go to my dad and his brothers, whatever, was all through teams. And because I was the grandpa advocate that I was a part of all of the meetings, even though I didn't need to be, but I advocated to be, because I didn't really, I don't know, it's not like my dad and his brothers are bad people, it's just they had a much different relationship with my grandpa to where I think they felt like they were owed something. And I can understand it, but I can't exactly empathize with it. It couldn't be me, you know? But that was them and their choice. But I just wanted to make sure everything was kosher and copacetic and how he wanted it. But that's how I ended up using Teams ever so briefly. But never Zoom. And now I gotta figure out how to use Zoom tomorrow. But it's worth it. It's for the kiddies. I'm excited. If anyone else wants to be a part of it, I'll drop the link. Like, it's not just Chicago specific. I mean, some of the information will be Cook County specific, but outside of that, it's just good information. Where is... Workshops is at the bottom. They're rehauling their website right now, and it kind of doesn't make sense. If anyone wants to join in, tell your friends, tell your bros, tell your hoes. I think that is pretty common to end up with that kind of relationship with your parents, especially generationally. Like, to the time my grandpa was raised in versus the time that his sons were raised in. In most cases, I feel like you have a better relationship with a child as a grandparent versus a parent. There's so many pressures taken off. Like, you're still responsible for keeping that creature alive, but you can have a lot more fun. You can do more of the silly things. You don't have to be constantly stressed out by the burdens of life because they go back to mom and dad eventually. Like, it's a better timeline of existence. And then you have all of your prior knowledge from child rearing years before of where you know you made mistakes and where you could have done things differently or things that you still wanted to do that you get to carry out in a much more settled point in time. Like 30 versus 70 is a much different set of priorities, stresses, finances, life circumstances. Like, it is day and night. Oh my gosh. I would agree with that, where it's the mindset of what's there is there for the parents. Like, they worked hard for it. I mean, I'm sure I'll get something when my dad passes away. I don't know what, and I don't care to know what. I don't want to know what. I don't want to think about that day. I just don't. Anything that's there for him is his. He worked hard for it. It's my job to work hard for what I want. Just like he worked hard for what he wants. Oh, maybe you can use Zoom through browser then. That would be ideal. I don't know why I'm just against Zoom, but I am. If I can do it through the browser, that would be awesome. I want to figure out how to work something new. Why can't they do it through Discord? That's okay. I'm sure I'll recap tomorrow night. Tomorrow we'll have a Harley Quinn Crazy Cat Lady recap from the seminar. Oh my goodness. Family is such a nuanced thing. Family dynamics, I feel like, although are very similar between many people, it's not a one-size-fits-all for anyone. I don't know what Zoom is. I just know it's similar to Skype, and I hate Skype. I know Skype isn't really a thing anymore, but I've never done a Skype. I hate Skype. The only time I ever used Skype was to talk to a friend who was doing a foreign exchange student program when I was in high school. He was over in Sweden, so I used Skype for that. But Skype shows are like 9 times out of 10 scam shows. I just never wanted to put myself in that position. I hate my time being wasted. Welcome, Narwhals. Aw, thank you. Very sweet. We'll have our first Harley of the year tomorrow. I'm excited. I am excited. But when Skype went out of commission, everyone went over to Zoom for spicy stuff, and I think that's why I'm so like, Zoom is the devil. It's the devil. But we shall see if it is actually the devil or not tomorrow, I suppose. It's gonna go from 11 to 12:15. Which, I mean, that's probably about the same amount of time as the last one. About an hour and 15 minutes. I think the other one was set up for 2 hours. But she talked for like an hour and a half. And then we had questions at the end. It was cool. I mean, it's the devil in cam girl world. I don't know if it's the devil in real person world. We'll find out tomorrow. I shall report back, Club Cult. Is it the same people presenting? Mostly yes. It was just the main chick from the Cats in Action team, and then CACC volunteers and people that are affiliated with Pause Chicago. So it was like a group last time, but there's 2 main girls that are in charge, or main ladies, main women. No, they're not, I'm not calling them old, but they're not young. Like, they're not 16-year-olds. But only one of them was there for it. So I would assume this one will be through both of them? I don't know. I'll be curious to see. I think it'll probably be regurgitation of most of the same information, but maybe more direct. Because they won't be, like, leaning over and, well, Pause does this and offers this and XYZ. So I think it'll be more direct from the TNR. Automod has finally activated. And classify them as Z-MILFs? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know how old the woman is. She's somewhere in between my age and my dad's age, which is a very large age range. But she's, again, not being rude. She was definitely older than me, but definitely not any older than my dad. But I'm excited. I think it'll go good. It's consistent in picking on you. Poor Saragenics. I was getting the short end of the auto mod stick. Let me see actually what it's doing. I wish you could be more picky with it. Like, allow different words through. Like the auto shield, whatever it is in what is it? Twitch would be, you can allow different things through. Like if someone typed shit and it got moderated, I could say, oh, that's okay. And then we would all be allowed to say shit wherever we want. It's on the most minimal one. The most minimal one still gets mad at the word MILF. What if we leet speak it? We're just gonna be the #1 Z-MILFs. We're gonna leet speak it from now on. The French slander for that era of life was hilarious. And I'm not meaning to laugh at your expense, but it was just so belligerently like, slap on the wrist, slap on the wrist, slap on the wrist, sacre bleu, slap on the wrist. That was awful. Lead is rough. Well, get it together. Apparently the word MILF is not allowed. I don't know. Let me see if I can whip this out here. Without being too expository. It says my banned words list on there. I'm surprised that it bonks that at such a low level. Where is... There is... It's on the most minimal setting, which apparently has been okay up until now. And I guess MILF is just too much for it. No spam, no gibberish. I mean, I feel like that's probably the best spot to be, is at the minimal one. But I feel like it only bonked Z-MILF when I had it at maximum at some point. I don't know. Excuse me? I'd like to see one. Some words or phrases will never be allowed on Kick regardless of the settings below. I don't think there is one word in the world that Kick will bork off. You can say anything. Like, you can say any terrible thing, unfortunately, / fortunately, I guess, freedom of speech, and it's not gonna get asterisked out. At least not in my experience of, like, randomly tuning into bigger creators' channels, and obviously some weird things get said. I don't know. But I think it's okay at the minimal part. I just wish it wouldn't take away Z-MILF. Custom? Oh, I can fork around with that. They changed this page. I didn't know there was a way to still customize it. Let's see what we can do with that. That's secret sauce. That's borscht. Get some ingredients for borscht this weekend. Let's see. That's probably better. Now we should be able to Z-MILF it up. Ain't no party like a Z-MILF party. Now we can say Z-MILF again. There we go. I'm blaming the French. That's what got you in trouble in the first place. I feel like you have to say something really out of pocket to get banned or bonked in those situations. Now we can Z-MILF again. Yes. Yes. That's exactly the preferred cue that I put it under, Cytogenics, just for you. I'll let you curse, say Z-MILF, and slander the French. Welcome, Yankovic. I hope you're having a lovely night tonight. Are you sure Automod is from France? Makes sense. Oh my goodness. There, that's a little bit better. I feel like I had it set on a custom thing forever ago, and that was all defaulted. I mean, Kick is still in beta, but whenever they update something, there are like literally a handful of changes that always go back to default. Like, one of them that is without fail is always the... Oh, where is it? Whatever leaderboards it shows, it always goes back to showing them all by default. And it's very annoying. Like, I only want the weekly one up. Then it makes sense in my head. That's all I want. That's all I want. What? That's so childish. I mean, if that's what you're happy with doing in your free time, let your freak flag fly, baby. Have your fun. It is your world. I just stream in it. That's gonna be our night for tonight, Club Cult. Thank you all for big stretch. Your time, your chats, your company, and your support. Thank you for being your wonderful selves, but more than anything, thank you for your time. I'm very, very blessed and very humbled. And very losing my voice. But that's irrelevant when graced with the company of Club Cult. I am enjoying our little story time hour. Before I sleepy forget again, what is our little bit of non-Vogon poetry for the night? Good morning, stunner. You're just getting started. Your age doesn't matter. The sun is up. The day is new. You're just getting started. Bless you, Zeke. Good night, stunner. You're just getting started. Your age doesn't matter. The stars are out. The night is warm. You're just getting started. On Eep time. Aw, tomorrow's is really cute. I look forward to reading that one to you guys. I need to put this closer so that I don't forget its existence, because apparently over here is out of my brain space existence. I have now learned. I did not know that, but now I know that. But thank you all again for a wonderful night. Thank you for your time more than anything. Your time is very valuable. It is one of these few finite things that you only get so much of in life to do whatever you want with. And you're able to spend it here. It is absolutely magical. And I'm oh so grateful. You could make more money. You could make more friends. You could make more clippies. Some more claw clips. You can make some more you are amazing bells. You cannot make more time. And thank you for yours. You need to stick it like a post-it note on the monitor. Yes. Just like this, so I don't forget. We don't need to see gameplay, we just need book reminder. If you webs want to keep up with me offline, hop into the Disky Boo. Otherwise, we got the fun stuff. We got the socials. We got some more fun stuff. The sketch for when I will see you Bebs next. And thank you all for being part of the Stream the Dreams project. You wonderful human beings. I am very, very, very blessed to be in the company of all of you amazing souls. Do me one favor until I see you Bebs next, and that is remember that you are wonderful, amazing. I think I need to replace this watch band. Wonderful, amazing, incredible, kind, spectacular, absolutely fantastic, oh so gorgeous, and all the good things in the world. Take all those compliments and put them in your your back pocket, your side pocket, your cute little, why am I so wrapped into this? Your cute little hoodie pocket, your adorable little shirt pocket, floating in suspended animation. Or just tuck them in your fuzzy little balls. Hold on to them dearly wherever they need to go until I see you next, you sweet bubos. Have a beautiful rest of your night. Get some good eats, get some good sleeps, make some good choices. Don't do anything Voya or I wouldn't do. I shall see you for the next one, my sweet baboos. Good night, Club Cult. Good night, tonight.